Good evening, everybody. I'm sure you knew I would start talking at some point. So, I need to take a quick minute and get all of my Streamlabs and other paraphernalia sorted out. And then we can return to the glorious Stellaris. My enthusiasm for this game is undiminished. I think, if I'm honest with myself, part of this is just coming down to the fact that I had a really easy start, and I'm getting some achievements which I haven't before. So I'm particularly enjoying this playthrough just because I'm winning, but I don't know. I've learned some stuff this time around, which I like, and I feel like this is one of the times. So again, even though I had a very easy start, like it's one of these cases where I've really been able to say, okay, here are the things I know, here are the things I don't know. I've built in enough of a buffer on the things that I don't know that if I make a mistake, it's not going to be fatal. And it's a little bit like when I hit that point in Crusader Kings 2, and I'm starting to feel very confident in my ability to play the game. And I also think I'm a little bit better positioned now to encourage people on a few different things that will either lead them to enjoy. Hey, the distinguished gentleman, how are you doing? It feels like it's been a while. It's great to see you again. But yeah, I feel like I'm sort of at a point now where if somebody was on the fence about Stellaris, I would be able to give them a very honest assessment and say, here is where I think you are going to really enjoy this game. And I know it's going to be frustrating at the start. I know you're not used to playing these really complicated games. Although again, Stellaris looks complicated, but it is a very maybe straightforward's not the right term for it. It has a logic to it, and it's one that I think most people will surprise themselves in terms of their ability to grasp it and to get into that world. I think it's one of the most new player friendly games that the Paradox Development Studio has released, and it's like I don't put a lot of stuff into my favorites list on Steam, but I absolutely did it for Stellaris. I don't even think Europa Universalis is there, and I like Europa quite a bit. Oh, I'm glad you like it, distinguished gentleman. I mean, I know you know me from Civilization, so that probably doesn't come as any surprise to you. But I think this is one of the best. Honestly, I think this is one of the best mixes between the 4X kind of, the Civilization, Endless Legend, Endless Space kind of game, and the Paradox style game. I think this is a wonderful gateway drug. Anyways, we've got wonderful music playing. So I think it's time that we take stock. Now again, as I sort of said on the tweet, I have a little bit of a dilemma now in the sense that I have got some progress in the game. We're now in the year 2292, and it is June the 14th, approximately 1:30 in the afternoon somewhere on Oros. So I will always do my best to try and say, how the devil did we get here? But this gets increasingly difficult. I mean, as we continue on in the game, it's a little bit like that old programming joke. It's like, how do you draw a horse? You draw one oval. First you draw the head. It's like, and then you draw the body, another oval, and then fill in the rest. And then somehow between the two ovals, you have this near photorealistic depiction of a horse in wonderful, pencil shadings and such. So, And I mean, you hear versions of this all the time, right? Whether it's somebody, it's like, oh, how do you get successful on Twitch? Oh, you just gotta work hard. It's like, how far up your own ass do you need to be to give that kind of advice to someone? It's like all the people who aren't successful on Twitch aren't working hard. There is, there's. I think there are a lot of people who give advice and mean well, and they do a fantastic job of turning me off of whatever thing they're trying to get me into. So I don't want to be that person for you, right? So if you want to know how we got here, I'm not going to say that these are good VODs. I actually think my content sucks from a VOD point of view. But if you want to know how we got here, I've uploaded every single episode that we've done on Monday nights here on Twitch TV. Come early, come often. And you can see how we got to the Mishar cooperative in its current state. You can also ask questions. I love answering questions, and I will, as long as you are willing to listen, I will go into as much detail as you want. But we're at a point now, right, where we have 7 core worlds. We've got a massive sector with so many other worlds. Incidentally, if you ever want to know the exact number, you just click on your planet. We have 26 different colonies and 329 people, many of which are robots, about half. But at the highest level that I can give, one of the reasons why we were able to expand the way that we did is that we had 2 very sort of passive and helpful neighbors. So we had the Hulfir sovereign nations, who are egalitarian fanatic xenophiles. We are egalitarian materialists. So these guys are naturally going to like me. And then our other neighbor was the Hanmur interstellar nation. Now, they may be hegemonic imperialists, they may be xenophobes, but they are fanatic materialists, and they definitely have need of me. And then the one threat that we did have was the Commonwealth of Otara. And they're still xenophobes, but they became pacifists and materialists. So even there, we wound up with some people that we can get along with. In fact, the only thing we really fear right now is the United Jessenac systems. They're inferior to us. But of course, they potentially have the means of sort of expanding out and causing us some trouble. And so, really, because I had some friendly neighbors, I didn't necessarily need to dedicate as much to the defense of my, I don't want to call it an empire, my cooperative. I didn't need to put as much into defending it because I knew I didn't face a threat to the south. Really, all that I needed to do was make sure I colonized planets in time. And the next little bit that we're going to be doing, we're going to finish incorporating the Ynnari Kingdom, our first and only war so far. And what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be thinking about the next few rounds of expansion. So normally what I do here is I go through my outliner as my sort of pre-flight checklist. I'm not going to do that this time. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to say, here are the goals. This is one of the things that I've liked about this Stellaris playthrough, is that generally if I have had a goal, I've been able to state it and see whether or not the effort has worked. So what are we trying to accomplish this round? My biggest potential threat at the moment, I mean, we have the Panax Lashard. They're just simply fanatic xenophobes. They are overwhelming, although notice that their naval capacity is starting to give way, so they're not immortal. But in reality, we're not going to have a whole lot. We're not going to be able to make much progress with this. The one I'm most concerned about would be the militarists. I was surprised about this fanatic xenophile, to be honest. So maybe there's somebody else we should be worried about. Oh yes, the Oxbraxi Blessed Covenant. These are people who do not like us at all. And it turns out they are in a defensive pact. Ah, now that's important to know. So I would be dragging these guys in as well. And then I believe these cute starfishes get along very well with me. They're fanatic, egalitarian, and materialist. So not a perfect match, but pretty close. So this is the founder species. I don't know quite what the deal is with the starfish. I know a couple of situations where that can happen. I just don't know specifically why that happened with these guys. So what I'm going to do is I want to sort of defang my sort of the most dangerous opponent when I can. It's complicated a little bit by the Oxbraxy, but they're generally weak. I mean, they only have 4 systems. Now, one drawback is that with the current setup that I have, I can't do a straight-up vassalization. If I could do this, I would have. I just jump into it right away. So we've got to try and vassalize these guys. That's not going to work because it takes 138. I mean, I could try and vassalize the Oxbraxy. That would only take 66. Actually, that's really tempting. So if we did that, and then we tried to extract some concessions in terms of like taking some systems from them. If I were to do like you know what? I don't want to vassalize them. But yeah, basically what we would want to do would be a bunch of seed planets, and we want to just kind of cut these guys down to size. There's a few things that's going to happen with that. And the reason why I'm taking a while to set this up is that there's a bit of a consideration that I want to have. And again, this maybe isn't something you'd worry about in the early game, but this is the sort of thing that you do need to start thinking about as the game goes along. I'm in a unique position in that as far as relative power is concerned, I'm quite a bit stronger than my neighbors, but that doesn't mean that their disaster can't strike. And of course, if I have, I mean, these guys are pretty far away, right? So if I have to fly out and they muster a very strong defense, I'm potentially going to find myself overextended. So one of the things that I want to do is make sure that I sort of have enough to get the job done, preferably in one big blow. And I want to think a little bit about what the steps are going to be, right? So I'm currently incorporating the Yanari Kingdom into my civ. Hey, Jesse Quill. Thank you very much for the host. So I am sort of looking at... Sorry, I've got an image from one Jeff DeHeff on which I see Jesse Quill on a TV. And she is certainly showing all of the benefits of the exercise that she's been getting. Namely that she looks like a man now and that she could chop down trees. No, you look very, very good, Jess. Anyways, so we're incorporating these guys, and so the natural extension would be, it's like, okay, well, what's bordering us? It's like, 3 little worlds. I could, gobble them up quite simply. Incidentally, I don't have the vassalization option. I would need to make them a protectorate. And I can tell you the difference between the two, but we'll maybe do that later. But what's really important here, and I don't think it... Yeah, here we go. I would be inviting war with the United Jazian Authority and the United Jessenak Systems. That's less desirable to me. Not so much because I'm worried that, I wouldn't be able to get these, but in this case, if I'm going to go to war with 3, in the name of, or 3 different empires in the name of capturing these 3 little planets, maybe there's a better way of going about it. I would propose to you the better way is this. So in this case, I would be bringing on only 2. So the Jessenak Systems and the Oxbraxy Blessed Covenant. It's very likely that the Oxbraxi would come along with this just because I am a rival to them. So, and the idea here is that I want to try and take as many worlds as I think I can get away with. I want to sort of defang them, and then I want to turn around and attack these because they're closer. It'll be easy to sweep them aside. And so what I'm doing here is I'm neutralizing this enemy when I can take on 2, so that I can then turn around and take this on. And these guys might declare war on me. Who knows? Maybe I can even get more concessions. Probably not, but you never know. And then I can turn around. So again, it's the same action, right? I take territory from these guys, I take this over, but the order matters because one involves me attacking 3 people in exchange for basically 1 empire for 1 planet. Whereas the other allows me to take stuff from one, and then a potential belligerent in the next war is weakened in time for me to take it on. So that's kind of the logic that I'm employing here. Now we're not ready to go to war yet, but that's the main idea. Is we want to start expanding, and that's going to be how I do it. So I think I am going to do my usual thing, which is to go through the outliner and just sort of look at the planets that I have immediate access to. And next up, I'm going to be playing around with my science ships. So as always, we start with the capital. So we're packed on the capital. I've got somebody migrating. There's not a whole lot that I can do with that right now. All the buildings are upgraded. I'm always going to own this planet, so I'm responsible for making sure that everything is the way that it needs to be. Oreb Prime, so lots of stuff that I can do here for sure. And I seem to remember I did put some effort into sort of building up the planet the way I roughly wanted it to be. We're currently making a surplus of 3 food. And what am I looking at? So we're going to be getting at least 7. In terms of Mishar, I'm going to want to put 1, 2, 3, at least 3 more. So I'm thinking mine, science, I don't have the money for it. Okay, so I'm definitely going to build some droids on Oreb. Only Misha are going to be here. That's because there are bonuses to science for Misha working those tiles instead of droids. Hey, how's it going, Zodicide? Wildor Prime. Now, I think this is one we said that the Mishar would be working on. So we're down some energy, but we'll regain that when they start working this tile. I'll probably put a Mishar here and get them working that energy tile. Then I can spin that out and give it to the sector. Akamar Prime. That's pretty much how I want it to be. So I think that's going to be another one that I wind up spinning out. Oh, I can't because I don't have a direct connection to it, so I might actually wind up keeping this one. Tadialara Prime. There's a lot of development that I can do here. I'm probably going to need to sit down and think a bit about what's going on there, but I am going to adjust the composition of the workforce a bit. So here's a little tip, by the way, for this game. So notice I had a guy here and then I moved him to this point. There's lots of little efficiencies like this inside the game that you can get away with. So if I put the guy on here, he's going to generate 1 energy, 1 mineral, whereas here he's just generating 1 energy. The AI will generally try to make the intelligent decision, but it's not a mind reader, nor should you ever expect the AI to do that. So always look for little opportunities to boost like that. Once you start building them up over, 10, 20, 30 turns, it definitely pays off. So one of the drawbacks here, of course, is that I'm out of minerals, so I can only talk about the plans on these. Now, Ashamax, I think we cleared all the tile blockers, and we did sort of put some. We started putting some droids here just to make sure that they could work. I think in this case we're going to have a lot of Mishar working this, just because it's all energy and science tiles. But this is definitely one that we can wait a little while. This is one that we can wait a little while to develop. So whenever I start this game, I go through my outliner. I say it's like, okay, do the planets look roughly like, oh, that's right, we had high quality minerals. So I made sure. So one thing I'm going to do is, like, even though it breaks my heart to remove energy credits, I am definitely going to do it here. I can get away with building a basic mine. This is another thing that's worth mentioning, right? 32, 25. I basically spend 25 plus 0.45 for energy to get one mineral resource. What would one mineral resource cost me in space? I don't know, probably because I've already developed everything. Oh, nope, here's one. So to build a mine on Cetera 3, that would cost me 60 minerals, 1 energy for 2. So that would be basically 30. If I divide by 2, then basically I would be paying more in minerals and energy per turn versus the one that I would be gaining here. So that's just another example of those little efficiencies that you can do to make sure that you're well positioned for sort of the next couple of rounds. I think what I'm going to wind up doing sector-wise, so I need to start thinking about worlds that I'll hold on my own, and ideally they'd be big worlds, but I didn't plan particularly well for that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give away Orib. I'm going to make sure that I have at least one space open to colonize Magram, so that I can turn around and give that to the AI. I'll also likely give Beiruta to the AI, and maybe Ashamax, depending on whether or not I can get a connection between the two. But what I do need to start thinking about a little bit is, what do I want to keep myself? Because I don't want to go over the cap. That winds up being very costly at this stage of the game. But I don't want to just like constantly be keeping the underdeveloped stuff for me. So what's up next? We've got our fleets. Now it's going to be fairly expensive to upgrade this, about 3K. One of the reasons why I don't constantly upgrade them is because I develop technology fast enough now that before I go to war, I might have a couple of generations of new tech, which means I'm just spending resources that I could otherwise spend on other upgrades in the Empire on things that I never wind up using. So I don't mind. The only thing for me is I don't mind not upgrading my fleet right away on the condition that I have a game plan to get that fixed. So realistically here, in under a year, I could have this upgraded. But over the course of time, over that year when I'm not upgrading them, I can do things like build droids and whatnot. So that's kind of my reasoning there. And then finally, we're going to do something a little bit special with my science ships. So I want to get an idea of what they're doing. Looks like that guy is on the Xantaris black hole, which I'm okay with. One, because I'm kind of hoping that I get the Horizon Signal event, so I can show you guys the rest of it. Next thing I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be sending them out to sort of explore all this area that I'm going to potentially conquer. And I'm particularly interested in all these little border worlds because I want to see what the defenses look like. So I'm going to plot a bit of a plan. I'm going to have all of my ships doing this, so I want to be a little careful in terms of how I plot the journey. And then I'll just let the game notify me when this is done. The Acuity is currently auto-exploring. Again, it'd be wonderful for me to know all of these systems. Actually, I think I'm okay having one doing that. And then the Zephyr, currently exploring Hanmur space, but instead I'm going to get them. Oops. I'll let them finish this survey. And then I'm going to take a look at the path. So this guy is going to kind of go from here and sort of look at this area. Again, if you've not done this before, convention in pretty much any strategy game that you play is to hold down Shift and then click, and you can queue up actions. So the idea here is I just kind of want an idea, primarily I want an idea of what lies between these two empires. And then next up, I want an idea of what these guys are made out of. Okay. So, another thing that I'm going to consider are my armies. I've currently got 15 armies, which will not be bad. I mean, I kind of only need one at a time to start taking planets. But we might want to consider building up some more, because we are going to be sort of taking over some planets, and we're going to be holding them, which means that there's going to be potential unrest. But I have been teasing you guys with gameplay for a while. Elkanu, thank you very much for that host. How are you, my friend? So I'm going to unpause the game. We'll let events happen, and more importantly, I'll watch this tick up so I can go and build some more things on planets. My spaceport, by the way, is building a whole bunch of corvettes and destroyers, so I don't necessarily need to tie up any more of those resources until I'm a little bit closer to the goal. I am quite well. I was a little bit late on casting, but that's not too uncommon now for Mondays. So it's always good to see you here, Elkanu. Let's take a quick look at my. So because I'm playing a democracy, there's sometimes mandates that rulers will get, but we've already satisfied it. So what we will do instead, I'm gonna find some more things to build if I can.
Construction complete.
Another thing that I've been working on is upgrading all of my spaceports to level 4. That's because I'd like to max out my destroyers and corvettes. I'm building them all on my capital because I've got corvette and destroyer assembly yards, so basically that's just a way that I can get a little bit more bang for the buck. But I do want to get all of my spaceports up to a level 4 so I can say, okay, those are all my destroyers and corvettes, and from now on what I'm going to do is I'm going to build like battleships and carriers and such as I move on. So let's just take a quick look at what's going on all the planets. Okay, so no reason to have robots. This needs a planetary capital, but I think that's a bit expensive for what I want to do. And then I think I said I was going to build electricity here, so all right.
Construction complete.
So a mine, hydroponics farm,
System survey complete.
and a power plant. And again, the idea here is I have a minor goal for me. I always, by the way, even though I do sometimes send off these planets to the AI, I do make an exception for the Unity producing buildings. Any of those. Oh, you know what? I screwed up, because that's going to give me some more. You know what? I'm okay doing more energy with that. The Unity producing buildings give me other perks through the traditions, and the traditions generally are quite strong. So I tend to build those things up. By the way, guys, I think I've been losing viewers rather than gaining them, but I am going to do a couple of quick shout outs here. So first host of the night was the lovely Miss Jessie Quill, who has been sort of getting back into casting and then sort of going away a little bit and then sort of coming back and then sort of going off. So, but she's a wonderful caster. She's a very dear friend of mine. We have been watching some more movies together recently. There's also a little bit of a secret, which I'm not sure if I'm allowed to tell, but on occasion I do read books to her. So for those of you who liked when I read A Little History of the World, Jess actually gets that experience every once in a while. One of the things that I did actually was because of the Adams update to Stellaris. I read her The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, which she had never read or heard before, so she got to have that experience. She, as I always like to say, does story games very well. And while I don't agree with her take on the ending of The Last of Us, one of the things that I like about Jess is that she has an opinion, and that it is more than just, I think one thing and now I'm going to state it and you need to treat it as if it was gospel. She has I know El Canoe's here. She has a point of view which it commands respect. It's one that you can think about and you can engage with. And this is one of the important things with me is it's never been a requirement that I necessarily have to always agree with somebody. I think that gets very boring. But I like it when, if I'm engaging with someone, I feel like they put some thought into what they've said. And likewise, when I say something, that they are doing more than just waiting for their turn to talk. And so in the case of Jess's cast, even though, again, when she'll have takes on games, which I think is like, well, I'm not entirely sure I think that's what's going on in that moment. I think she provides something very important on Twitch, which is perspective and a viewpoint. And I think that's really the best way to experience story-based games, especially ones that have a very clear fixed narrative, where the game sort of decides what happens and it's up for you to interpret it. And so I think that's really where she's at her greatest strength, although she does everything from creative casts to, she has on occasion done IRL, but I think everybody freaks out when that happens, and she's fine at it, but I have a feeling that she'd probably prefer to do other things. But she's a very dear friend of mine. She's somebody I'll never get tired of shouting out, and I do definitely encourage you guys to check out her stuff. Of course, not to be outdone, we've got El Canoe. And El Canoe I always like to shout out as the guy who I think can sell games the best out of all of us. And it's not necessarily because he is a marketing guy, but he is somebody who really communicates a love and a passion for gaming. And he does a great job, even if the game he's playing is not very good. He does a fantastic job of making that connection between what is in that game and why somebody might be interested in it. He's always like, I really feel that any game that El Canoe plays, if there were to be people to see that video, those games would find their audiences. And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that, he gives a fawning review of every single one, or it doesn't mean that, he even particularly enjoys all of the games that he plays. But he comes to all of his games very honestly, and you really see how much he enjoys games on their own, and he always does a good job of showing them. And I need to say that I say this as somebody who does not speak the language in which he casts. I mean, he does speak English to me when I'm in his cast, which has not been frequently, by the way. I've really had some troubles getting my schedule in order, both for casting and for catching El Canoe's channel. But he is a really wonderful French caster, and even if you do not speak a word of French, I can say for sure I have bought a game specifically because of El Canoe's coverage, and he did it better than any other English speaker on that game. So I always realize it's an uphill struggle to try and get people to watch casts in a language other than their own, but definitely do it for El Canoe. He is absolutely worth your attention. And maybe one other thing that I'll mention too, with because Jess was tweeting about this a little while. There's a tendency on Twitter, especially for casters, to have a lot of these. It's like, oh, hey, give me some new talent that I haven't seen before kinds of messages. And some of these come across it really honestly, and I really appreciate them, especially when people kind of shout me out and potentially expose the channel to an audience that it hasn't seen before. And then some of them are just more kind of these very conspicuous displays of magnanimity, which maybe aren't as sincere as I think everybody would like them to be. But and again, it's not my place to adjudicate which one is which, right? I think people just need to consider the source and see where it's going. But one of the reasons I shout out the way that I do, it's like if I do it on Twitter, the problem that I think I'm going to run into is that I'm going to be limited to the people that I know. And it's possible that the people who've already found an audience, i.e. the ones who have enough people to sort of see my feed anyway, will get noticed. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? Like, these people clearly have put in enough time, or have gotten lucky enough, or have found a way to reach their audience in a way that they have people who will be able to see sort of these call outs that I do. But I think the best thing that a streamer can ever ask is a chance to entertain you. And definitely in the case of Jess and Elkanu, these are people who I really do encourage you guys to check out and to see if it's your kind of a thing. I realize follows are free, but that's not the reason why I want you to do that. I want you to do that hoping that you'll connect with somebody who gives you something that you can't find somewhere else on Twitch. And if that is the case, at some point you will pay that forward, that when you find something that you're really into, that you'll share that. So in any case, those are my two shout outs for you. I hope the regulars are not getting too bored with these, but these are two really wonderful casters and two people who've done a wonderful job of showing me some stuff that I haven't seen before on Twitch. So thank you to both Jesse Quill and Elkanu. Advanced mineral processing. Second stage processing of pseudo-refined minerals allow for more efficient storage and transportation. So we'll do some new research. I always pause on this just because I don't know if you store up research points or they disappear. So let's take a quick look at what we're going to be doing. How is Stellaris, a new star citizen, would be as good as Age of Empires? Oh, Avia, that's a tough question, because I know Age of Empires is really loved. And actually, all of the people I know who really love Age of Empires are all French. So consider Stellaris. So Stellaris is possible real-time strategy. So it's not exactly Age of Empires. It's definitely not like Star Citizen. Star Citizen's closer to Wing Commander. I would say Stellaris is what would happen if you took sort of Civilization or Endless Space, another very good French studio, by the way, Amplitude, and you mixed it with something like Crusader Kings 2 or Europa Universalis. If you added a level of complexity and depth, so if like 4x++, right? You take the basics of 4x and then you build out a lot more in terms of technology and events and management and things like that. So I understand completely, Elkanu. Have a great one. If you don't get a chance to talk between now and then, thank you so much for stopping by. You are definitely doing a much better job of attendance than I am. So thank you very much, Zodaside. All right, so here's how you're going to notice, for those of you who are new to this cast, you're going to notice a bit of a theme in terms of how I talk about how I think about Stellaris. So the one thing that I look at is, unless one of these things immediately leaps out at me as something, I got to get this. And by the way, I am at some points now where I'm getting into parts of the technology tree I've never researched before. So for instance, I've never done the artificial intelligence, the dangerous one. So if there's nothing that leaps out at me as I have to get this, what I normally do is I go for one of the less expensive options. So for instance, we've got superfluid materials. That's kind of the next logical step from the last thing that I researched, because that gives me a new gives me a new engineering facility. Actually, gives me 2 new engineering facilities. The one that I did before was, of course, new mineral extraction. But the catch here is that it takes 116 months. That's a really long time to wait for a technology. And what I'm giving up if I research this would be plasteel materials, which is a fairly, I mean, it's a robust upgrade, but it's a fairly old one, all being considered. And that'll only take me 33 months. More importantly, I know I'm going to be going to war, so all of a sudden armor is a little bit more sensible to buy. Although, I mean, if my enemy has a whole bunch of energy weapons, I'm kind of screwed there. Another argument might be, it's like, okay, well, if you don't want to worry about whether or not they have energy weapons, maybe you just want to get a lot better at dodging. In this case, we've got faster boosters, faster or better evasion, and so on and so forth. But this one's going to cost me 70 months again compared to 33. We've got also 70 months that I can spend on a fortress, but that's more of a defensive war rather than an offensive one. And then, of course, we've got crystal forged plating, which is a very healthy upgrade. I mean, 10% extra hull points is nothing to sneeze at. But we're back to 93 months versus 33 months. So what this really comes down to is, do I want to spend the 33 months and gain armor? Or do I want to spend the 33 months and gain the hull points? Now, normally I would go for the hull points, except for the fact that I think this is a fairly special one. It's going to cost me 25 for each ship, and I'm not quite sure how to outfit it because I've never researched it before. But there's going to be something that I do really quickly, which is to find out how armor works. And I very rarely do this on cast, but I'm going to show you how you can learn Stellaris on your own. There's a beginner's guide in the browser, and this is always a pain because my mouse is offset whenever I'm streaming. But basically, every Paradox game has a wiki, which is set up by them and maintained by the community. By the way, if you know Stellaris very well, I encourage you to contribute to this wiki. These games get better if we have people who help people get into the game. Now, I've clicked on the beginner's guide to show it in the past. That's why that's highlighted. But one of the, I usually don't like using resources like this because I always like that experience. One, because now I do casts and I know people kind of expect me to talk a little bit about how do you learn a game like this. So for me, some of the fun is the discovery, and Stellaris is absolutely a game about discovery. In fact, that movie competition takes as its theme discovery as well. But what I am interested in is, like, I've run into a point now where it's like, okay, I have a rough idea of what I want, but I'm trying to decide now whether or not 5% extra on hull points or 3 armor is better. And I don't really know how armor works. So what I'm going to do here is take a quick look at... There we go. So as it says here, hull is the most important attribute for any ship. When hull reaches 0, the ship will be destroyed and removed from battle. Okay? So on its own, if you have a choice between an equal amount of hull and an equal amount of armor, you want to go for the hull because the hull works for everything. But maybe there's a little bit of nuance that we can add to this. Armor isn't guaranteed to absorb a fixed value of damage like hulls or shields do. Instead, the ratio of damage on the hull to damage on armor is given by damage reduction. Every ship has base armor. It can be improved by installing additional armor modules at a higher cost of minerals. Damage reduction cannot exceed 90%. In that case, the damage to the hull is 1/10 of the damage displayed on the ship design menu if the weapon has no effect on armor. Okay. So it's a bunch of percentage. So basically the way it is, percent damage to armor, you've got damage reduction times the minus of the armor penetration. And the rest of that goes to the hull. So the idea here is you want to build up to that, you want to build up to that reduction cap that they had, and then the rest of that should be going into hull. So there isn't a convenient way for me to go for this on its own. But I am going to say that chances are, because I'm at armor 2, it's a little more sensible for me to go for plasteel materials here. And that the hull points I should probably go for when I've built up my resources a little better. It's also worth mentioning I mean, 6 compared to a flat 25 for everything. Definitely, this is a little more cost-effective on my smaller ships. So this may not be the right choice, but I am going to go for the plasteel armor. So now that was a really bad example of how you can use the wiki, but like if I wanted to, I could sit down and say, okay, well, what does my ship designer say in terms of armor and so on and so forth. The other thing too, if you look at that technology, there's another one that gives me like 10% bonus to hull points. So I'm thinking if I wait it out a little bit, I might be able to get a better overall upgrade without doing sort of one of these half measures, and I'm still going to be able to get the benefit of the damage reduction. And of course, because I'll have more hull points, it'll go a little bit further because of course you're having to go through more of the armor to take down less of the hit points, so on and so forth. These things are generally complementary, so you don't want to focus on one over the other. Anyways, I've got more non-aggression pack. The Juven Hegemony wants a... Where are you? Yeah, that's not happening. I mean, they're slaving despots too. I don't want to make a deal with the devil. They also just don't really pose that much of a threat to me, so... I'm a little curious if these guys are at capacity or not. I am definitely quite on edge in terms of whether or not these guys are going to be able to defend themselves. I'm not rushing into battle with them. I would like to get a little bit of intelligence in terms of what lies in between. We know that there's at least one curator enclave, but there's definitely a lot more that can go on there. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go... This is going to be a really reckless way for me to spend my resources, but I know I'm going to start sort of ignoring... I know I'm going to start ignoring things relatively quickly, so I'm going to start building some buildings and basically set it up so it's something that I just don't need to think about. So let's say 1... So we've got a bonus to energy. We've also got a bonus to minerals. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. So I think just 2 energy, 2 minerals is the way to go, to be honest. So the reason I don't recommend you do this, these are all resources, all of this energy, all of these minerals that I'm spending building this stuff up that's not going to be used. I could be putting that towards literally anything else in the game. I'm doing this partially because I sort of know what I'm like. And I sometimes, especially when I get really into streaming, I sometimes forget a bit. So I just kind of want to set these things up so it's a little bit more of a set and forget. I've got 4 more guys coming in. I've got 4 foods, so everything balances out. Then of course, I can start upgrading my my farms, and then I might be able to switch one out. But in this case, I'm a little curious though, why did I decide to go... Oh, I probably decided to go energy because it's an energy tile. Yeah. Okay. As you can see here, we've got an upgrade to the monument.
Research complete.
Oh, more research to be finished. All right, so the ion disruptor, this was a little bit more of a throwaway one. So one of the reasons these upgraded disruptors fire bolts of more destructive ion particles at targets. So one of the ways that this works is if you research something and then you throw it away, or sorry, you don't throw it. If you research something, it throws away all of the other options, and what happens is you get a new draw from the deck. So if you don't like any of your options, go for the least expensive one. It'll take you less time, and you'll be able to get potentially a better option. So in this case, we've got one that'll take 52 months. We've got one that'll take 70 months. Now, normally, I would have gone for antimatter power. I mean, better power is not bad at all. We also have a research agreement on it, so we get it a little bit faster than normal. But sentient combat AI, just take a look at what this thing does. +5 to hit, +6 chance to evade, +20 combat speed for my corvettes, 14 for tracking, +5 to hit, +4 to evade for my destroyers. So these are my main. These are kind of like my main components for my fleet right now. Next up, we're going to be getting cruisers. So fire rate +15%, chance to hit +4. And then eventually we will be getting the battleship, which +10% to weapons damage and +5% to fire rate. So this will make everything stronger. And purple does mean that it's a rare technology. So in this case, it's more expensive. And antimatter power is very cool, but it's one that I've already put research into, so it's always going to be an option. Whereas this thing, I may not draw it again. So in this case, I'm willing to roll the dice. Not roll the dice. I'm willing to put the effort in, especially because I've got a computer specialist on it. So now is a good time to research this technology. It's actually 65, so let's carry on. And again, I'm just going to sort of recklessly spend all of my money in somewhat wasteful ways. Okay, I really need to decide what I'm doing on this planet.
Construction complete.
So let's say we're definitely going to build energy. This is just saying that there's an inactive building. Oh, there's our traditions. Oh, you know what? I'm probably forgetting to draw oh, no, I've already done the monument. My bad. So one thing I usually do is I sort of respect the sort of the underlying tile. That's not a bad it's not a bad way to go, in my opinion. So I've got lots of opportunities for energy here, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to get a little bit of mining done. This definitely should be a farm. And robots don't need food. Okay, so what if I said this is just going to be a massive energy hub? So we're currently at 0, so we're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5 more. Which will be covered by this farm, so we're okay for that. Yeah, this is just going to be one big energy planet. Now, one drawback about employing my resources that way is whereas I would normally just be able to sort of buy up all of these droids, I'm going to have to wait for my Mishars to grow into this. So this planet's going to take a while to get to where it needs to be, but I can sort of live with that. Finally, Ashamax. So that's kind of the last one that I need to do some work on. One last thing I am going to do though is move on to my construction ship. So let's send him off. We still got 3,000. So at this point, I think I'm just going to send it off to build everything I can possibly build that doesn't involve something that will get destroyed when I colonize. So give me those precious mineral resources. And the occasional energy. I also know at some point I'm going to want to build a frontier outpost in a couple of places, but because I'm currently incorporating these people, I don't want to do that until my until I'm a little bit more solvent in terms of my influence. All right, so tradition. I think it's fairly obvious what we're going to do. It's private colony ships. It's not bad because we have a lot of energy and we tend to run a bit of a surplus on it, but it's not gonna change the world. What is going to be better for me is once we do the pursuit of profits, because that's one of the reasons I've been building all of these energy grid and energy nexuses. It's so I can, it's basically so I can get the extra unity bump. All right. So I think we are where we need to go. Now, again, I need to stress one of the reasons why I spent all that time like building up all these different worlds. It's mostly so I can forget about them. What I am doing is one of the most wasteful things you can do in the game because I'm locking up a bunch of resources, building things that I'm not going to use for quite some time. Bovhandan civilization encountered. We have detected the presence of a primitive alien civilization on Ioviva in the Lando system. They currently seem to be experiencing the equivalent of the Renaissance, having recently left the medieval age behind them. Scientific knowledge is spreading rapidly, and the armies of the petty kingdoms are equipped with crude gunpowder-based projectile weapons. We should consider building an observation post above their world to study them more closely. Well, let's see where they are. Well, I'll be able to, I'll own them in a little bit, so that's not too bad at all. Okay, so I've got my Unity building being built. I can't build the zoo yet. I think it's very safe to say because of the high quality minerals bonus, I am going to want to build as many drones as possible on this planet. So let's start by building, oh, you know what? I probably can't build a processing plant because I need to have planetary administration. So every scrap of land that doesn't have an energy sign on it will be dedicated to mining. Governor Meng Vargas has leveled up and gained the trait Stubborn. What is this, Darkest Dungeon? You're not allowed to give me negative traits. This will be my mineral processing plant. So I need to have enough food to support 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I probably went a little too crazy with all the buildings, but I'm living with it. I've got such a surplus that it's okay if I have a couple of planets that don't balance out. I want to make sure I leave enough space for one energy grid so I get that unity bonus. Again, I don't have more money than I know what to do with, so. And then we're going to do the really reckless thing, which is just build as many droids as possible. Oh yeah, that was the... Alright, so there's going to be an energy grid I build here, there's going to be a mineral processing plant I build here, and there's going to be an alien zoo that I build here. Everything else is going to be mining as much as possible and making the most it can of that 25% bonus. And Oros has finished its queue, so I need to go back and think a little bit about how I am building my fleet. And it doesn't have an easy division on 142 destroyers and 151 corvettes. I feel like that should be a little more corvette heavy than destroyer heavy. So I had a notebook open last cast, and I was giving myself a bunch of IOUs in terms of what I was going to build. Okay, so I told me I owed me 7 Corvettes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, that takes me up to 300. Yeah, well, you know what? So 317. In that case, do 8 points worth of destroyers, so 4 destroyers. So that's 308. I owe you 2 Corvettes. And then the next little bit we are going to put into upgrading all of our, like even the ones in the AI controlled sectors, we're going to be upgrading all of these to level 4 spaceports. So we've got a little bit of a wait ahead of us for that. Incidentally, again, one of the big reasons why I'm doing all of this, it's because I want to give my science ships a chance to sort of take a look around and see what we're up against when it comes to just the lay of the land here. So there's some natural expansion points, right? We've got an arid world, a savanna world, and we've got this to take. We are definitely going to get all of this at some point. The incorporate. How much longer do we have? 59 months. So you've got some natural expansion available to us already. Sapphire lookers. Are these crystals? I really like these aliens. And I actually love the sound design of them. Just listen to that. Jess might also remember... So you remember those photos I sent you, Jess? Just a reminder, guys, there is a Stellaris short film competition that's underway. Theme is Discovery, and they have given you a lot of very beautiful art to work with. So, all right, can't remember how many I said. I owed me 2 Corvettes. And now I'm going to start upgrading some spaceports. So the only way I can do this and stay sane is to go from, basically go from the top sector down. I don't know any other way that I can make sense of this. So, okay, it's level 4. Okay, so Tiam is currently level 4. Nope. All right, naval capacity 10%, which means all of my plans just got thrown to the wind, but that's fine. All right, so there's chemical bliss. Now, this actually isn't that important to me because the living standard isn't that great, in my opinion, at least in terms of this this group. So, where were we? Oh, this is a species. Okay. Can't set rights for droids. So no migration controls. I can't do slavery and purging because of my government style. We currently have utopian abundance. So happiness plus 20%, consumer goods use plus 2. So I could actually go to like decent living standards and I would get a massive bonus to my minerals. The thing is, I don't want to do that. I can support myself right now. I'm a very strong force in the galaxy without having to give this up. But if I felt like there was a potential, if I felt like there was a potential threat that was emerging, this is one thing I could do for a quick shot in the arm of my economy, is to reduce the corporate in red. Oh yeah. Avia, sorry if I wasn't clear on this. So we are the Red Star, Mishar Cooperative. It's our banner up here. And in terms of our power, there's only one other entity that's more powerful than us. And actually, we've now reached equivalent in terms of naval capacity. So once I start building up my my navy, we're gonna start seeing the gap close relative. I think what you'll see is the speed through which you notice that this thing starts going down in terms of relative power. It will probably do the best reason to explain why I am so nervous about some of these inferior groups. So Commonwealth of Otara, technology levels equivalent. The Alliance of States, technology levels equivalent. Now these guys get along well with me. Jessenax, inferior across everything. If that technology level starts creeping up, that means that they can start building stronger fleets, and all of a sudden it doesn't matter that their size is different. So, anyways, I was going to explain what Chemical Bliss did. So, Chemical Bliss is rated as the highest. It's plus 40%. And on top of that, it will reduce their ability to work things. Negative 60% to food, minerals, energy credits, unity output, physics output, society output, and engineering output. Entertainment media is made freely available as a drug regimen induces euphoric stupor. The pops are happy, but useless. So this is basically Brave New World. Every science fiction story you can imagine is in this game, without mods. People have made mods to make it explicit, but I would challenge you for a science fiction story that you can't tell in Stellaris without, I mean, within reason. Really, so it's like, oh, can you do Blade Runner? It's like, well, kind of. There's Blade Runner references in the game, but obviously Blade Runner, like the majority of it, sort of is about what happens on Earth. You don't get to see the colonies. All right. So we've got ecological adaptation. I believe this would allow us to terraform. Yes, allows us to terraform inhabited planets. I can increase my my naval capacity. I can build better farms. So the real question is, so it takes me 34 months for ecological adaptation, or it takes me 15 months for something that I don't really want to use. That's a great quote, by the way. Deep tissue implants are the latest innovation in the revolutionary overlapping of sensory engineering and entertainment experiences. Where we're going, we won't need skin to feel. I do like this idea of ecological adaptation. By adapting planetary ecosystems to large-scale environmental changes, we can turn terraformation into a less disruptive process. I want to see whether or not I'm going to be able to, to make some of these worlds a little bit more friendly to my species. It'd be cool to go for like the cheap, Chemical Bliss one, but I kind of want to see. I want to see if I can extract some more efficiencies out of my populations. Because if happiness isn't tip top, then you do wind up paying for it in lower productivity. All right. So Trappist's got one level 4 spaceport, but it needs another. Again, the reason I'm only going up to level 4 is I'm going to start using the naval capacity that comes as a result of my... that comes as a result of these level 5 upgrades. I'm going to put that entirely into the higher level ship. Oh, that's a colony outpost, isn't it? A frontier outpost. Wait, so there's no habitable planet there? God, it's been a while. I think I originally built the frontier outpost there so I could claim Magum, and then I kind of forgot about claiming it, so... Yeah, not a problem at all, Avia. If you have any questions about the game, and that goes to anyone, I mean, I know a lot of people enjoy just sort of sitting back and watching or listening or that, but the original reason we did this playthrough was because we had... oh, the mistake I made, by the way, guys, is you look for this icon to the left, not to the right. This indicates a colony. This indicates empty space. The reason why I did this originally was because there was a Humble Monthly bundle which included... Oh my god, we've already got a level 5 spaceport. That was the AI that did that. So, my experience on the times that I've gotten a game on Humble Monthly is they sometimes just sit and wait for me to...
System survey complete.
Oh, I fell for the same trap again. I really... you know, I could probably take this one down. Gives me something for my construction ship to do.
Construction complete.
Nonsense. What do you mean you can't build a... Oh, it's because the AI's already done that. That should eventually start giving me a little bit more influence, I think. Anyways, so especially a game like this, which, I mean, so I really enjoy the Paradox games. And I mean, those of you who've been here are probably getting very tired of hearing me say that. But one of the reasons why I really like them is that they make a lot of demands of you up front. But they say it's like, if you're willing to put in that effort, then we are going to entertain you for hours. And I mean, every Paradox game I've now got hundreds of hours in now. But it's great stuff. I really, really enjoy these games because they always give me new things to do. By the way, we're gonna leap into this with both feet in a second here. I hope you guys enjoy this. But it does strike me as something very difficult to navigate in a Humble Monthly because, I mean, normally with those things, I'll give it a couple of hours, and if I'm not into it, I probably won't go back to it. So I was hoping to try and to motivate people to get into this game and see all of the enjoyment that comes out of it. So you've got another dangerous technology. Highly advanced robots that are stronger, faster, and more durable than the vast majority of organics. With their upgraded neural processors, they are fully capable of independent operations. So this will unlock Android Assault Army with pretty solid damage. Android Defense Army. I've got a new buildable pop, which is a synthetic. Higher energy maintenance cost, but they have plus 20% to everything. They do things better than any of my organics. They also cost less in terms of consumer goods. And then there I can get a new citizen's rights for synthetics. Any self-aware machine that fulfills the criteria of possessing true artificial intelligence is to be regarded as an individual with all the rights and obligations that entails. Synthetics cannot be enslaved or disassembled. Policies are affected that can either be turned on or off for our empire. So this will take me 96 months to research. The alternative would be the bonus to hull points, which I'm not that interested in. I can go for hull, which is 53 months, or I can go for better missiles, which would take me 33 months. We're doing it. More human than human, that's our motto. So in 85 months, the flesh bags will be rendered obsolete. No, I wouldn't say they're the Borg. I would say, so we're closer to the Borg as the post-Mishar. We're cyborgs. This leader has been heavily augmented with cybernetic implants that have far greater service lives than the obsolescent organic body parts that they replaced. So we are currently the post-Mishar. We've already gone down the Borg route in terms of like implanting things into ourselves to extend our life and to make things better. These are replicants from Blade Runners. Yeah, Terminator would also be another example. You could argue, if any of you have seen the this is like the first anime reference I'm going to make voluntarily on this cast, but if any of you saw an anime called Ghost in the Shell, the AI in that is the technology we're currently at, and the next step that we're going on to is to basically have a host for it, to have a fully synthetic being. And I mean, I'm rushing towards that because I want to, like, I really want to explore these ideas in the game. So yeah, I think it's a really good film. Jess, what are you doing there? All right, I am definitely invading the... What the... Dreadnought.
System survey complete.
Hey guys, what does that skull mean? Does that mean it's friendly? Okay, in fairness, Zod aside, that's one reference. It's not like I'm constantly talking about it. But I think the reason why people really enjoy it is that the movie. So even though it's a cartoon, it has got some very mature themes in it. It's got some very striking imagery. One thing I always thought was a little weird about the movie was that, like, for some reason, in order to go invisible, the leading lady needs to take her clothes off, which I always thought was a little immature. I mean, like, don't get me wrong, I am a, red-blooded hetero male, so, like, I definitely, like, I enjoy the aesthetics of that, if you can take my meaning, but, like, the movie buff / former, somebody who used to be involved in making movies, like, that side of me is very, like, why did they need to do that? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But yeah, like, I don't know, like, to me, I didn't get why, like, it just seemed really out of place for me. But it's I don't know, like, it's a really well done story. I like the ideas behind it quite a bit, and I had a good time watching it. What's less obvious to me right now, campaign to elect a new chancellor. I don't really have any need to do that here. All right, so we've got a science ship taken care of. You know what? I think I'm just going to automate this one again. You will if you watch it. Oh, and Avia asks, human, we still have a leave, or could you put only humanoid robot? I'm not quite sure I follow your meaning, Avia. Oh, I'm really falling behind. So I've got 78. You know what? It seems to make as much sense to... so I've got... I'm building another Corvette, so that'll take me up to 317. 378 minus 317 would leave me with 61. So we'll say 30 points. Okay. So 15 destroyers.
Situation log updated. System survey complete.
Okay, 1 second. I owe myself 2 destroyers. 30 Corvettes, and then we'll see where the rest of it goes. All right. Oh, and I seem to have just lost a whole bunch of capacity, probably because of whoever just got switched out. So Ajia Akaria has been elected Chancellor of the Mishar Cooperative. Consult the situation log for their mandate. Well, that would assume that the main character would be the armored riot police lady. Ah, yes. So, Avia, what's happening in this particular story? So we began as a race called the Mishar, who look surprisingly human-like. And we made a decision when we went into traditions. So this is one of the choices you can make in this. But we went for the flesh is weak. The limits and constraints imposed on us by the feeble organic bodies are simply unacceptable. To reach our full potential, we must turn to cybernetic implants. So this gave us some bonuses to robot maintenance and robot build speed. And then we had a special project which enhanced our citizens with cybernetic implants. So in this particular story, the race known as the Mishar hit a point where they would decide that they would become effectively one with technology. That in order to be a member of that species, you would effectively be implanted with cybernetic, but you get cybernetic implants, and that would be something given to you at birth. Like this, the same way that you are used to having two hands, I would be used to having like augmented eyes or like, you know, an artificial heart or something like that. And we're continuing down this route. So what we're doing is we are now what's known as a post-Mishar. And the other thing that happens with this species is they have always been able to build automata. So the society has always been preoccupied with the idea of metallic automatons since the early steam age. Although many said it could not be done, the first true robots left the assembly lines long before rudimentary spaceflight was achieved. So before these people flew into space, they were able to build machines to do work for them. And we've since upgraded them. So what we're building on planets right now are droids, which are more efficient at doing work than the Mishar for some things. And what our next goal is with our research is to build something that is objectively better than a post-Mishar at everything. So Scarlett Johansson isn't the main character. Well, I've never seen the main film, but I would definitely say Zod aside that there is more than... So in terms of who you see there's definitely a character you sort of see the worlds through a certain character's eyes. And definitely the police officer would be that character. But whether or not the movie is about that character is another question. Do they have Netflix implementation? Sure, it's augmented reality. You just flip it on and you're good to go to watch your favorite movie. All right, so I'm curious. This dreadnought interests me. I'm going to assume the skull means that it's unfriendly. But I want to see, normally we should be able to talk to the curators and ask them about it. Which one is this again? They are the Alpha Enclave. They like us because we have a research agreement, so. Oh, yeah, I definitely want to purchase that service. I didn't know I was out. All right, so that just blew a hole in my budget. Tell us of the mysteries of the universe. There are exceedingly powerful entities lurking within certain star systems in our galaxy. At great cost in both lives and resources, curator agents have painstakingly gathered knowledge that should make these beings easier to deal with the next time you encounter them. Tell us something we don't know, -300. Tell us about the automated dreadnought. A sad story. Its masters have been dead for millions of years, but this massive warship continues to stand vigil over the broken rubble of their empire. What is it really? It was one of several flagships belonging to an unusually powerful interstellar empire that flourished in a small region of our galaxy some several million years ago. As is so often the case, that empire was brought to a sudden and violent end at the hands of its neighbors in a series of very destructive wars. The dreadnought that you have encountered is the last of its kind, and it continues to dutifully patrol its assigned system despite the death of its crew. Many attempts have been made throughout the ages to put the old warship to its final rest, none successful. So I can spend 5,000 to find out how to defeat it. How would our current fleet fare against it in battle? Yes. I suppose you might actually stand a chance if you combined your entire fleet. It would not be an easy victory, mind you, but one that is at least within the realm of possibility. So that's interesting to me. In this case, it means that with about 20k in terms of strength, I have a chance against the Dreadnought. But those are not the odds I want to look at. So, Mysteries of the Universe, tell us about the Dreadnought. So for spending... interesting. Tell us how to defeat it. Dreadnought Dazzler modifier added, giving the following effects. Damage to the automated Dreadnought plus 25%. Cool. If I have had qualms about taking these things out, I am definitely not going to go fight the Dreadnought. I have a feeling that that Dreadnought is not going to go anywhere. And with near certainty, one of these other Star Empires are not going to get to it first, so... Alright, so it's a former general who we elected. However, I'm just going to admire this fine work. Did I mention I really like the way this game looks? Okay, I think I said I owed me 2 destroyers, so we'll get those out of the way. Let's just take a quick look. These are pretty much what they should be.
System survey complete.
Alright, I'm going to upgrade that. That will allow me to build like the zoo and the mineral processing and such. And then I think this was going to be like the energy grid. Alright. I don't even know how many Corvettes I need to build now, so I'm just going to smack this button until it goes away. So I need to build 4 mining stations, but I genuinely don't know if I have enough space to do that. What I might consider once I incorporate so the challenge I have right now is I've got this frontier outpost. If I get rid of this, I don't have Magram in my my empire. All I really have is like Trappist, Ipskela. So like this thing is sort of pushing out the boundaries a little bit for myself. So I might wait until I'm a bit more secure in my position before I get rid of this this frontier outpost. I wanted to just take a quick look at my leader screen. I don't think I want to change around anything. I probably at some point will need to consider a new general. So I've got space for 2 more leaders. In theory, one thing I could do would be to hire a couple more scientists and get some of these ships exploring. Nervous?
Construction complete.
Huh. I don't know if I want a general that's nervous. I think while I'm building, so I'm digesting this queue for a while. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a quick patrol and make sure that as many starports have been upgraded as I can manage. Arguably, the smarter move for me would be not to have built all of that stuff on these planets, but rather to to put that money into building up these spaceports. But I'm also not 100% sure why some of these, so like if I go to Jaltham, this is 1.1k and it's level, oh, you know what? It's probably because, no, nope. So for some reason, this is just a stronger base. I won't question it. I will just move on.
Research complete.
Okay, so ecological adaptation is done. By adapting planetary ecosystems to large-scale environmental changes, we can turn terraformation into a less disruptive process. What do we have next? So we can get a plus 5% to food. Now this feels like it's kind of near the end of a tree. I don't know this for sure. You can look this up on the wiki, but I kind of want to have some fun for myself, right? So in this case here, getting a plus 5% to food when I'm already at plus 111%, and I mean I'm only getting a 14% bonus to population growth from that. So it's not like this is pushing me forward to greater and greater heights. This is probably not a very smart move for me to do right now. My alternatives, so there's climate restoration, allow us to terraform ecologically devastated tomb worlds. Now I don't think we have any examples of tomb worlds in our immediate area. Normally you'll see a little red icon. That indicates... Oh, there's a tomb world. Actually, it's a big tomb world, too. So this would be an example of something. A rocky world with a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. It is currently experiencing a nuclear winter with dense layers of sooty asteroids in the atmosphere. High levels of surface radiation, minimal signs of life. So in this particular case here, if I wanted to take that world for myself, I could get climate restoration. Alternatively, I can go for regenerative hull tissue. So at a cost of 30, I will regenerate hull per month. That way I don't need to go back to labs to bases to repair. Or there is the auto-curating vault, which is an empire-wide plus 10% to Unity. It's also one of my less expensive ones, so I think it's fairly clear I'm going to go for that. All right. I'm just going to go back to my tour and make sure that we are maxing out as many of the spaceports as I can. I will probably... I think before too long, what I might do is start doing a little more colonization as well. All right, out of money. So I'm going to ask Jesse Quill, who is my partner in crime on... There are a couple of other people who I do... Oh, Enigmatic Fortune. Oh my god. Is this just Leviathan land? What is this?
Complete. System survey complete.
Apparently I decided to put all the Leviathans in one place. So... Curators! So I was going to ask Jess, what would it take to get you to play Stellaris? Hey, tell me more about the mysteries of the universe. Tell us about the Enigmatic Fortress. It is the kind of absurd, massive, and self-perpetuating construction that you don't see built anymore. Maybe that is for the best. Any structure can be destroyed. The fortress has been defeated before, but it always recovers. Some of the ancient empires of this galaxy have been driven nearly or entirely mad, failing to unlock its deeper secrets or even permanently destroy it. It appears so focused on maintaining itself that it's doubtful if it has any other serious purpose. And everything else is 1,000 energy credits, which I'm going to hold off a little bit. How you doing, Captain Bear? You've been warming up to it every Monday, you say. Why every Monday? Is there something special that happens on Mondays that I don't know about? Please, System Chalk, tell you if you're wrong. But if you give order element by element, not selecting a square, is there a reason? And could you be lost with the elements that are different? Are you talking about how I... are you talking about these squares here, Avia? Because I can definitely answer for that for you if that was your question. In the meantime, I'm just gonna take a moment to do some more of these upgrades. If I misunderstood your question, I apologize. If you can just let me know where I went wrong. Wait a minute, these are ones I control, so they're already going to be fully upgraded. I'll do my best to answer once I know I'm on the right track. Again, it's worth remembering that we're gonna have a whole bunch of other upgrades to do to take it up to level 5, but I wanna finish my fleet before I do that. A large group of refugees from the underground alien empire on Trappist Secondist have recently streamed out of their tunnels onto the surface, chased by a small army. They are apparently part of some sort of religious minority and claim to be fleeing persecution. If we let them join our colonists on the surface, it will no doubt anger the rulers of the empire that they fled from. However, if we let the pursuing army take them back underground, they will likely face mass execution. We can't afford a political incident? Send them back. Apparently, I didn't even get an option on that. When you give an order, usually you select your element by a square, as in an MMO. So the orders in this one, usually what you do is you right click. So this is my fleet. So obviously it depends on what you're ordering, but right now I've got this mighty fleet currently reorienting itself to incorporate the newcomers. So if I want to move it around, I usually just need to right click. I can give it some sort of standing orders, but this game is a little bit closer to an RTS in the sense that usually it sort of depends on what you have selected, and you can it'll know from the context what you want it to do. Yeah, I think I get what you're asking though now, Avia. So if the question is like, how does the game know what I want to do? Like here is a good example. So this is like Civilization, where I'm selecting things to build, and it's putting them into a queue for me. Whereas if I have a unit that's selected, I'm giving it different orders and saying it's like, okay, I want you to move over here, or I want you to, you know, if I right click on something that's hostile, it's going to attack it. And that comes in just because the game understands from what I have selected and what I've right clicked on. Basically, it's like left click to select something, right click to perform an action on it. And depending on the combination of what's selected and what is right clicked on, it'll sort of know what I want to do. Okay, so zoom out and select the troop. So I'm just going to finish the communication established. We are receiving a transmission from the independent space station of Zerocorp. They appear to have successfully translated our language. Welcome to Zerocorp. We are a business conglomerate operating out of the Saldnope system, specializing in trade of minerals and energy, the very building blocks of civilization, as we like to say here at Zerocorp. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you are interested in making a good deal. All right, so this is the fleet. Now I've selected the whole fleet. If I wanted, I could split them, right? So now I have 2 separate fleets. But usually in this game, there's not a good reason to split them up. So I'm going to make them into one big super fleet, and you guys get to watch some formation flying.
Research complete.
All right, and we've got my sentient combat AI. That is definitely a big one for me to upgrade for. But again, I sort of want to build things up where I can. So running sentient AIs through high-intensity combat simulations yields valuable insight into potential optimizations for risk evaluation techniques. Moving right along, new physics research. So as always, I can do antimatter power if I can't come up with anything else. Applied superconductivity is kind of neat because in 74 months I would get a 5% bonus to energy credits. I believe that is to energy credit production. So I'm making 201 right now. So, I mean, 10% of that is basically 20. Half of that is 10. So that's basically that's basically a bonus of about 10 energy credits a month, which doesn't seem like a whole lot until you consider that I would need to kind of build 3 different power sources to accomplish that. Roki, what was the most recent update for this game? Can we romance attractive aliens yet? I believe you'd need a mod for romancing. Or what you could do is you could play a multiplayer game and you could do, you could play, like, you could just play 2 Xenophile races. So I can go for the really cheap one for 14 months, or I can go for the, you know what, I think I'll just do antimatter power because I should have, oh, I don't have somebody who's good at that. All right, well, I'm going for it anyway. Yeah, Avia, so there's 2 screens. So if you want the macro, you can take the whole galaxy. The intermediate would be the system level, if you will forgive the expression. The other system level. And in this case, this is where you get to see the ships and the planets and such. There's actually one closer level, and that's the planet level. Right, so right here, there's only Oros in this system in terms of individual planets. But if I went to Trappist, there is Trappist Prime. Oh, sorry, Trappist Tertius. Probably because it's the third. Oh, there's 3 planets. Okay, my bad. Trappist Prime, Trappist Secundus, and Trappist Tertius, which means that explains why I was getting so weirded out by that. So there's definitely different planets, but basically you've got on the surface level, you can also affect things that are going on there. I believe this is uninhabitable to my people. It's a desert world, so it's all robots. Oh, really, Niroki? Because I mean, this is a fairly weak fleet, all told. Like, this is just, these are corvettes and these are destroyers. I don't even have like cruisers or battleships yet. There's just a whole lot of them. I mean, I did go for a big badass red color scheme. That might be why it looks a little different. I think these are backward. I believe this is the front. Yes. And just to make sure that treadmill is still running, I'll build a few more corvettes. So just as a clarification, so what I'm doing here is I'm trying to build out my naval capacity. I have a specific systematic way. So I haven't put a lot of thought into how I build certain things in this game. So what I want to do right now is I'm kind of treating it as if I was on top of everything that I was building. And I said, okay, I'm just going to max out what I have with my existing fleet cap, and then I'll research a new technology which will give me a new ship. So what I'm saying here is that I'm going to build all of my level 4 spaceports, and I'm going to build destroyers and corvettes with it. So I'm basically going to have about 400 points worth of destroyers and corvettes, roughly even. I mean, what have we got right now? 174 destroyers. Oh, 167 corvettes, so I should pick that up. All right. Looks like the mining stations weren't too troublesome. All right, so I think I was going to build a frontier outpost somewhere. I either want to build it in Irem, or I want to build it in Einchilla. So Upsloth, when I colonize that, I'll probably be able to pick it. So I think what I want to do is build this here. Really sorry to high and by you, but it's 4 a.m. You should probably get some sleep. Distinguished gentlemen, you were here from the start. I mean, you've been here for about 2 hours. Don't think that's a high and a buy. I really appreciate you stopping by, even if just for a second. So please, it's always great to see you here. It is worth mentioning, guys, by the way. So I know I try not to. I don't want to be insincere in the thank yous that I give, but I do, even if I don't say it individually, I'm relatively good for remembering people who are there from the start. Like I remember Endors, for instance, started watching me at with Gods Will Be Watching, and I feel like Distinguished Gentleman first watched me with Civilization. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I do know that was one that that he really enjoyed. So it means a lot to me especially when people from the very beginning still stop by. So yeah, even if, especially because Distinguished Gentleman is out in England, by the way, guys. So it is a very inconvenient time that I cast for him. But that always makes me feel good when people still stop by. So thanks a lot. Hey, Unknown Brigade, good to see you. All right, so you've got some of our science officers are upgrading. There is an argument, by the way. So all of these are 5-star. One of my researchers right now is 4. It's my engineering one. So if I've got an industry level 1, I might consider switching them out. As it is, they are not, so I'm just going to keep the researchers where they are right now. In 28 months, we will have something more human than human. That's our motto. All right, I'm going to do one more tour just to make sure that my my spaceports are where they need to be. I feel like I'm going to screw this up, but
System survey complete.
I also feel like there should be an easier way to do this, but
System survey complete.
I knew I missed one.
Situation log updated.
Hey! That's really cool to hear, Avia. We have encountered some form of alien vessels in the Regana system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Teth aliens. Until we can learn more about them, we should proceed with caution. All that we know is they're hostile, apparently.
Evading hostile fleet.
Alright, let's see what these jokers are. This looks like the bounty hunter ship from Star Wars. It's like Kirk is his name or something. Oh wait, no, Kirk is the hero. He's like the guy with the lightsaber. Khan. It's like Khan's bounty hunter ship. Swedish food or Swiss food? If it's Swedish food, then I'll be all over the meatballs. And if it's Swiss food, I'll be all over the chocolate. All right. By the way, I have no idea who drinks coffee with milk and sugar in it. I mean, it's coffee, so I'll take it, but this is character building to try and get through. Cheese and chocolate. Alright, looks like we're more or less where I wanted to be with my stations. I am also going to consider, I should probably do a quick tour of my colonies and see if I'm in a position to divest some of them. No, they're still upgrading, so... Alright, so I need to make some decisions on this planet, looks like. Arctic World's done, so... Akamar, where are you? Oh, this is one of the ones I'm keeping, so I think I should actually just slam the buttons down and upgrade everything. Wildor. That's definitely one I can get rid of. Well, oddly enough, if I do that... Well, you know what? That's not the worst thing in the world for me to do. So if I can get rid of Akamar... Yeah. I'm just going to wind up giving a whole lot of... I'm just going to wind up giving away a whole lot of planets, I think. Alright, let's see if I can thread this needle. I mean, I don't have to make it one, I don't have to make it like one big sector, I just usually like doing that, so. See, I've got two new colonies I can take care of now. And on top of that, I can get any one of my other spaceports to build me some colony ships. So I'll use in this case I want to do a private colony ship because that's going to cost me 108. And I've got plenty of energy for it, so we'll build one of these. And we will build... Oh, looks like that's still upgrading. Avia, thank you so much for the $10. Thank you. Oop.
Thank for your patience with me English carrot. I don't know what you are doing or saying, but I like it. GG.
That is very kind of you to say, Avia. It has been an absolute pleasure to cast for you. Don't worry at all about the English. One of the things that has made me feel really good about El Canoe's channel is how welcome I have felt, even though I'm not a French speaker. And it's occurred to me that a lot of Twitch is English speaking. And if people who are some of the few casters in their native language can make me feel so welcome in their communities when I speak English, at the very least I can do is sort of meet people. I can't necessarily speak their language, but I can at the very least try and engage and be as forthcoming as I can with the things that I say, and to try and be as nice and as I don't like to use the term patient because that sort of implies that it's inconvenient for me to talk to somebody, and it's not. I really enjoy interacting with all of you. But this is one thing I've really learned from El Canoe, right? Is that I see so many channels on Twitch that do this whole English only, please. And it always bothers me because if somebody wants to enjoy the content, it doesn't really bother me if they speak another language. It does mean I can't necessarily participate because it's not something I personally am familiar with. But I don't know, it feels a little disrespectful for me to turn around and be given such a wonderful treatment in languages or in channels that sort of focus on another language, and I just think it's it's only right to kind of do my part in making sure that it's open to as many people as possible. Plus, it's nice to have another concurrent viewer, right? So. All right, reports of deep space drones in certain systems have been investigated. The drones appear to be workers and custodians of an autonomous orbital mining operation, established millennia ago, and then soon abandoned by all but the drones themselves, judging by the state of the processing equipment. Their purpose is obvious enough, mining, but who it is that tasks them is not immediately apparent. What is obvious is that no shipment of minerals has been retrieved from this system in hundreds, if not thousands of years. Well, they may only be old drones. They may only be old drones, but they should be kept under close watch by the Mishar Cooperative. I can establish a listening post on Oros. I can see, let's see what they're made of. Let's take them apart. So let's do a listening post. While we are becoming more militaristic, it feels like the materialists would probably want to do research. So.
System survey complete.
So for some reason, it's because of these nasty fellows.
Special project complete.
The drones are remarkably efficient at squeezing ever-diminishing returns from the rocks the Mishar miners would have soon discarded, deemed exhausted of all worthwhile mineral content. Our top engineers are working on adapting the drone's methodology for use in the Mishar Cooperative's mining networks and stations, which should improve efficiency, effectively lessening the energy expenditure. Of lesser import is the fact that the drones are not completely silent, contrary to previous assumptions. They emit signal pings, though extremely infrequently and at a wavelength hard to isolate from the background noise. If anyone is left to receive these if there is anyone left to receive these pings, may be a mystery for another time. And we add a list of mineral-rich planetoids to the situation log. So I probably should have gone for the destruction one, but it's funny, El Canoe. All right, let's take a quick second. So we've got 53, 54, 55, 56, 57. 58, 59, 60.
Construction complete.
And 173, 180. I feel like I'm going to just need to go for a lot of Corvettes here. I should have twice as many Corvettes as I have destroyers. So what do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 180 each. Oh, unless it's... No, it's capacity usage. So it's perfectly even. Nice. Okay. So... all right. I don't think there's anything I can do about that, so... And I'm just going to make a note for myself. I owe you 20 Corvettes. let's take a quick look at what our main rivals are up to. So still currently relatively weak. These guys are still pathetic. Notice I'm getting a little bit closer to where I want to be on, you know, on this intelligence. So I learned about a couple of sort of Leviathans on the way, and I think as soon as I take care of sort of my immediate threats, I will definitely consider going after one of the Leviathans. But it also strikes me as a bad idea to try and pursue that at the moment, because again, if I'm weak and I need to rebuild my force again, that'll potentially be an opportunity for one of these guys to get the jump on me. So we have detected the present. Oh, this is I've already conquered the world. I need to conquer the galaxy now, Avia. We have detected the presence of a primitive alien proto-civilization on the Virulpog in the Mulboian system. That's probably, yeah, it's a little far for me. Our probes show that their Neolithic culture has mastered fire and developed a rudimentary spoken language, but we have yet to see any evidence of metallurgy or written communication. We should consider building an observation post above their world and study them more closely. Alright, so before we do anything, we're gonna start plugging in some of the gaps of our colonies. So these guys are gonna go to Upsoth. Not a whole lot of options, but I think we will go here. These guys, I think we'll colonize Dram, so we can... I'm not so worried about colonizing the things that are within my borders. And the main reason for that is... Oh, cool. There's creatures on here already. Main reason I'm not worried about that is because I will always have the option of dropping a colony on them. Enemy AI, like the AI can't just colonize something that's within your borders. So like, here's a good example. Like I could potentially go onto Saya. Right now, Saya is... Why the hell does it count as... Oh, it's 100%. My bad. So Saya is actually ideal for the post-Mishar, but right now it's owned by my vassal. So I can't colonize it. Of course, I'm integrating my vassals, so I will be able to take that eventually. But for now, I sit tight.
Ships upgraded.
Subject Yanari Kingdom has been successfully integrated into our empire. Oh my god, I'm losing so much! The reason for this is I just added this empire into mine, right? So on Bish, got a whole bunch of dragon people. This is gonna make things a little tricky for me. I think the best way to go about this is, so I was thinking a little bit about this, and it seems to me the best path is just to, if I can make it in the sector, it goes to the sector. And if it's outside the sector, so in the sense that like if, I'm also gonna get these guys to my capital. So I think the idea here is that if can I not move these? Merge, you fools. There must be at least 2 military fleets of the same ship class and with the same FTL type. Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, you know what? I can make this like my defensive fleet, I guess. Or I can change their drives. No, you know what? I can just upgrade these things, and they will... I mean, that's going to be expensive, but I think it's going to be worth it. Let's do a test run. Let's take this Corvette. We'll upgrade it and see what it turns into. Yeah, so what happened here, Avia, is that this species uses wormholes. So this is a little bit like the Mass Effect Relay. They don't have their warp drives on their spaceships, but instead they rely on these, which is a relatively fast way of traveling, but it is limited in the sense that you have to build a bunch of these around your world. I don't use this warp technology, so you can't combine two different warp types. Actually, you know what? I'm going to change my mind because this is a different species. So, how am I? No, you know what? Screw it. I can manage it. But yeah, so what I need to do right now is I need to start I need to get myself back to the cap. So in this case, I'm going to continue this sector as far as I can. What I want to try and do is not give up too many systems. So... Alright, let's go Sakis, Yump, Kelsum. The AI's already been working on this for a while, so I'm not too worried about controlling these planets right now. All that I really want to do is make sure that it's not costing me too much. Oh, this is gonna get ugly. Let's go. What I'm trying to do is keep as many of these resources as I can under my individual control. Eventually, I'm gonna start. Passing these on to the. I hope I didn't create another sector that way. Yep, just one sector. So it's not pretty, but you'll notice like I'm at 91,356, so I'm kind of where I need to go there. I'm generating 169 a turn. Now, it might make a sense to give them a little bit of an endowment in terms of minerals. I'm not going to right now, but I should consider that at some point. I should also eventually pass off Zert and Jan to the AI, but I don't need to right now. So the reason why I did this is I kind of want to keep as many things as I can in my possession so I can develop them and get the direct benefit from them. And then what eventually is going to happen, so like Oreb, I'm going to pass off to the AI as soon as it's ready. So what do I need to have happen? I basically just need it to fill up with Mishar, really. But basically what I'm going to do is like I'm going to pass something off onto Oreb, and then it's going to be like, oh, okay, what's another planet I can do? Oreb's basically going to start being this is inside the Empire, so I'm going to colonize from within. So maybe I'll go for like Magrum or something like that. The other thing I can do now is probably get rid of Elamir. Well, no, I think I'm going to hang on to that. Frontier outpost for a little while longer now. But hello, the Mystic Mist 2000. The Galactic Revolution goes well. We have ceased to be the friendly communists, and we are starting to maybe take possession of a little bit more. So in terms of rivals, I don't have a lot that I'm too worried about. By the way, guys, remember when these guys used to be overwhelming? It's gonna keep getting lower. This is, again, the reason why I always keep an eye on these sorts of things, because you never quite realize how quickly you can be overtaken. The biggest one I'm worried about right now are these guys, because they're big enough that I can't take them out in one go. So if I were to declare war, still the same enemies. I mean, there is kind of a side of me that says maybe I should just declare the war, take the planets, and then, you know, use the remaining time to go after them, but we'll see. We'll see what goes on. Incidentally, let's just take a quick look at victory conditions. 40% of all habitable planets. We've got 34 out of 85. So we did have a plan in terms of getting the inhabitable planets, but what I really want to do, I can definitely see myself getting along with the whole Fear, the Hanmur, the Spuxlack. The Jessenaks, I don't have too big of a problem with, save for the fact that they get along with these guys. And these guys are militarist spiritualists, and they are my rival. I haven't declared a rivalry on these guys yet, but yeah, like these are, as much as it probably makes me feel bad, I'm going to go to war with these guys and take some of their toys. A new faction has recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Mishar Cooperative, led by Governor Isabella Fabrini. They call themselves the Internal Strength Council. Their members are advocating for closed borders and non-interference in galactic affairs. Oh, we've got a few more construction ships. I think I'm going to disband these. I don't think there's a way to donate them to... Oh yeah, I inherited a lot of stuff from these guys, actually. So let's take a quick second. So I can hire 2 more leaders, which is good because... Actually, I can get rid of one of them. So we'll upgrade. Once they're done upgrading, I will... Once they're done upgrading, I'll throw some people on them. Okay, so what does this ship look like now? Hopefully he looks remarkably different from all the others. Do you have a warp drive? He does. Okay, cool. So these are going to be guys that so this is going to be my first priority to upgrade. What do these guys have? Okay, so these guys have wormhole modulators, so they are going to combine with them. These guys are going to get together. And my priority will eventually be to upgrade all of the... You know what? We're just going to hit that button now and hope for the best. What are you doing? Look how low my energy goes when I send that thing out. But I don't know about you guys. Looks like the galaxy could use a little freedom, huh? We've allowed you to move freely in our territory for too long. Today we draw the line.
Ships upgraded. System survey complete.
Hi. We can do the same to you. And your arrival. Alright, so these guys got upgraded. Let's recruit a couple more Mishar. We'll say 33 here. And... oh, we had some left over. Alright.
I would never want to belong
Mystic Mist, thank you very much for that follow.
like me for a minute.
So what I'm going to do here... Cheyenne, thank you very much for that follow. It's been a while since I've heard that in alert. Thanks, guys. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to take one of these to just start filling in the gaps of my... exploration. One of the reasons why I've been focusing so much on doing exploration is I got the tradition earlier, which gives me some bonus points for sort of exploring new territory. So what I want to do ideally is have as many science ships as possible running throughout the galaxy. And that'll be earning me some extra research. The other thing, I was neglecting sort of my southern border here. So what I'm going to do is just send this other science ship down to the south, and then we'll get them to automate their exploration. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to sit and, as the Mystic Mist pointed out, the Grand Revolutionary Fleet shall indeed grow. So this first Star Hunters are just chilling here right now. I mean, it doesn't look that impressive when you look at, when you compare it to one of these. These things, by the way, look absolutely incredible when they go to war. I'm just going to be taking screenshot after screenshot as when we finally send these guys to liberate the galaxy. Do you have an infinite fuel for exploration? Yes, Avia. So the way that the game sort of models sort of technological limitations in terms of transportation would be your faster than light travel type. So as I mentioned, this particular species that I incorporated used wormhole technology. So in this case, you would build a big generator to make a wormhole that you'd fly through, and you use one of those. The other style would be just a straight warp drive where you say, okay, within a certain range, I want to go from point A to point B, and you just kind of go through a straight line. And then there's a hyperlane option, which will basically give you, you have to follow certain paths that are listed for your ship. All right, so next month we're going to get the money to upgrade that fleet. How is my construction queue going? I think I'm going to need to... oh yeah, I'll be fine. But yeah, I think it's sort of assumed that the fleets in this game... I'll put it to you this way. I think the game will keep neutral as to whether or not these ships need to refuel, but it abstracts it away in the sense that you personally do not need to micromanage the ships for refueling. So it's possible that's what's happening with this scout ship is that it's, going halfway across the galaxy and then back here and then halfway across the galaxy and then back here. But I would argue that's probably not a very fun way to play the game. So in this case, they left that to the imagination, or just simply the fleets don't work that way. So ironically, the fleet that I inherited is now more technologically advanced than my primary fleet. But I'm hoping that I can catch these guys merging, because it's going to be a very impressive little dance. Maybe we'll play some of the 2001: A Space Odyssey soundtrack. Hello, Elsie! Very happy to see you as always. How are you tonight? You know what? I felt a little bad. So if you ever want to know what track is playing, you you can go to the music player. I wonder if I go back. Yep, it's called the Imperial Fleet. I will be sure to, we'll listen to this again anyway. But if you ever want to know what's going on, you just push the music player. All right, I'm gonna have a sip of refreshment. That is the last of the sugary bullshit known as that coffee that I technically didn't order. I ordered the coffee, but I didn't order that coffee, that's for sure. I'm really debating as to whether or not I want to take on a Leviathan, because here's a secret. Even though once you get a handle on the vanilla game, will you use mods? That's a really good question, Mystic Mist, because one of the funny things to me about the Paradox games is they're so supportive of a modding community, and yet I personally have never really jumped in that far on modding. I think for Crusader Kings 2, I got some like just sort of beautification mods, things that I thought would allow me to see a bit more of the game map. So I'm not opposed to it, certainly. I think it's just a question I need to find the right material to sort of motivate me. But yeah, I'd be perfectly happy to do some mods, and certainly if you have any recommendations, I'll make a note of them. You can say them in chat if you'd like, but I'd probably react a little bit better if I got like a private message, just because if I have a long cast and I don't write down the mod, then I'm gonna lose it. But yeah, I mean, I think these games have a little bit more of a life just because people are willing to sort of manipulate the game to something that they would want more. It really pains me to give up Birana, but I can probably give up Janus instead. Yeah. One of my main motivations, by the way, of not giving up too much to the sector at the moment is they're doing okay for generating their mineral stockpile, but they're really getting, they're clearly burning the candle at both ends in terms of maintaining everything. I would almost reduce their taxes, except that I need to make sure that I've got my stuff taken care of as well. So we'll donate another system to them. And slowly we'll fill in the gaps. Basically all of this is going to be gray by the end of it. But like I said, I kind of take this venture capital approach to colony building, which is I will make sure everything's sort of up and running before I give it over. I think we have 2 more Mishar that need to be. Well, honestly, you know what? There's no reason for me to. I think I'm gonna build another colony ship, and we can start colonizing the gaps. I don't see any reason for me to hang on to Oreb, to be honest. So another private colony ship. Most popular game is Star Trek. Oh yeah, so we're talking about making. I think this is something we talked about a little bit earlier. Is that my argument for this game is that every science fiction story exists in Stellaris already, and that all that happens in the mods are they make those references more explicit. But yeah, I could definitely see myself picking. I'll be honest with you, as ridiculous as I think Warhammer 40k fandom can get sometimes, I do think it's a very compelling setting. And our trade treaty with the Hanmur has expired. Well, you know what? I have the Alpha Enclave to take care of me on that, so I don't feel particularly compelled to continue that deal. But what was I gonna say? But yeah, I find the Warhammer 40k stuff pretty compelling, and I think it's a big missed opportunity that more games have not taken sort of a 4x kind of approach to it. I actually think that is a setting that would do well in with kind of a world building sort of a approach. So the reason I'm building all of these, especially the energy grid, is just to get my bonus to Unity. Unfortunately, it does mean that I want to keep this in my empire for a little bit longer. So, Endors, all government types seem better as you force them upon others. I agree. Have you built my first megastructures? I have not, the Mystic Mist. I got a copy of Utopia when it first came out. That was from Paradox, so thank you to them. But I think I had to do if memory serves, I had to do a Crusader Kings playthrough reasonably quickly after that. So I don't think I ever got to get to the megastructure part. There's definitely some technologies here which I'm seeing for the very first time. What did I say I was going to do with this? If I left a Mishar here, I think probably what I'll wind up doing. So energy. I'm really starting to let these things go before I want them to, but I've bit off a bit more than I can chew, so that takes care of that. I also shouldn't have been so quick to delete those construction ships, because I probably could have used them to expand out all this. But I'll live with it. Okay, so we're at 464 of 513, and we've got 3 destroyers, so that's going to add 6 more, so we're going to be up to 470. And we need 5, or we're at 513, so I've basically got 43 to play with. I think I said I owed myself 20 Corvettes, right? So I owe you 10 Corvettes. Alright, so at some point I need to start building some... Oh, actually, what I should have done before I gave up all of those planets was cleared out everything. I should also probably work out some privileges for my new citizens. Are these things citizens of mine? I know I can't exterminate them, so species. We may uplift this pre-sentient species to a fully fledged pops in our empire. Doing so will allow us to modify its traits when we uplift it. Absolutely, we're upgrading the snakeoids. So, we'll keep them on the desert. That seems fine to me. That's costly. Maybe I will reconsider that for a bit. By chance, we stumble upon a faint alien signal during the survey of the planet. The source appears to be a small object in orbit. The signal contains no message. Could it be a distress transponder?
I would never want to belong to any club that would have
Mohammed Baudad. Thank you very much for the follow. Alright. So the Yanari, who we just brought in. So residents, pops are free but may not engage politically as the species cannot produce leaders. Reduction to consumer goods costs. Impoverished conditions. That's give them decent at least. It's gonna give me a hit on my minerals, but I think I can live with that. Limited military service, can only produce armies, can produce... Okay, I'm okay not having them as leaders. No population controls, allowed to control... Mummified pilot. The mummified remains of a single individual belonging to a previously unknown mammalian species have been found drifting in high orbit over Chirasix 5. This being is dressed in what appears to be a flight suit, complete with a helmet, and may be a fighter pilot that ejected in some ancient battle, only to be forgotten and left behind. Our study of the corpse has provided some interesting data. A tragic fate. So I feel like there shouldn't be controls on them. Let's just take a look here. Yeah, so
System survey.
I'll maybe say, you know, we're not quite ready to fully take the subservient reptilian species on board completely, but I'm okay saying that they may. I actually would prefer it if they kind of start moving throughout the empire. That way we can maybe avoid some nasty divisions. So they're still probably going to be unhappy about some things, but... Alright. Admiral Bezokwi Majitu has drawn up plans for a major fleet exercise that will involve a substantial portion of our navy. The location he has chosen for these maneuvers is the Bazkarat system, which is close to the border of the United Jazgian Authority. The Jazgians may see this as a major provocation, but if we cancel the exercise, our military will consider it a sign of weakness. After all, Bazkarat lies within our space. The United Jazgian Authority has no right to tell us what we can or cannot do in our own backyard. They're also weak, so... Conduct the fleet maneuvers. Admiral with at least 200,000 in... Where the hell is this thing again? Right here. Alright, this is going to cost us a lot of energy, but so be it. And because we want to make it exciting. Freedom Fleet away! Again, notice how much it costs me to keep my fleet out when I take it out of my special orbit. Oh, I've got my new colony ship, so let's go spread the good word. So apparently that's off the... I have the wrong species to colonize with that. I should probably be a little more careful on those decisions. So let's find that sweet... Let's find the biggest, most beautiful continental world I can. And I can set it and forget it for a bit. In the meantime, I'm going to have to give up 2 planets next, I think. Trappist can make another private... Nope. Colony ship that's either post-Misha or droid. Okay. I'm thinking if we have... desert and savanna and whatever. I still don't think that's right. But anyways, we have a species within our... we have a species in our empire that actually likes that kind of nonsense, so... Small rectangular object on the surface of the moon is deflecting all scanning beams like a mirror. Our sensors are unable to determine its material composition. Also, I think I had a...
Incoming transmission.
what do they want? Star charts? Go to hell. The reason I'm rejecting star charts are I get bonuses. Oh, more human than human. That's our motto. I get bonuses every time I explore. I get like 10% of my research output. So this is helping me if I individually explore planets. I should have taken a little bit of a closer look, but this is slightly encouraging. So it looks like there's about 7K. I don't think that's their entire fleet, but that definitely makes me feel good about my ability to wage war. All right, highly advanced robots that are stronger, faster, and more durable than the vast majority of organics. With their upgraded neural processors, they are fully capable of independent operations. New research. So advanced afterburners isn't too exciting for me. None of these are really all that exciting for me, actually. So I will go for the least expensive, which is crystal infused plating, and that might actually give me some bonus hull points too. So I am mildly curious in terms of my existing droid. So it looks like my existing droids can't be synthetics. So it looks like I'm gonna have to build one of these things before I do anything else. But it does give me an opportunity. Build. Oh, looks like I can. But yeah, let's go for it. Oh, hell no, you are not an enslaved. No, 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 no.
Ships upgraded.
Crackdown. While it cannot be denied that the intoxicating effects of Upsoth Prime's atmosphere are enjoyable, and even helpful in some cases, there is pressure from more conservative parts of the Mishar Cooperative to crack down on its possibly addictive gases. Shut it down or leave Upsoth Prime as it is. Well, let's see what's going on here. Ah! Please don't! Yeah, shut it down. Okay, so something tells me now that I have like a proper So apparently I am forced to enslave my droids. That's a bit of a problem. While conducting surface scans of Clue 5A, Science Officer Ilmas Fenn and the crew of the YDS Conobox discovered what appears to be an artificially carved slab of rock covered in alien writing. They have not detected any other signs of alien activity on the moon, and exactly how this mural came to be here is a mystery. We have prepared a special project to translate the text.
Situation log updated.
Looks like this guy's free.
Special
The atmosphere of Upsoth Prime has been cleansed of all of its intoxicating elements. And all the stoners got mad. My fleet's still on its way. Okay. I am mildly concerned that it seems to be forcing me to...
System survey complete.
that I can't set rights for
System survey complete.
synthetics and droids.
Research complete. Construction complete.
Alright, lots of stuff to do. Okay, so we got our antimatter power. So bonuses to sensor range is not bad, but that's among some of the most expensive. Neutron torpedoes are okay. They are the least expensive. I don't know if I'd actually wind up using them because I've pretty much let the AI take care of all of that. So we've got a difference between 83 months or 63 months. I'm thinking the neutron is the way to go. As far as leaders... looks like I'm stuck with the lot. Okay, I'm going to take a quick second. I'm sorry to do this off cast, but I don't have a good way of... my cursor gets offset in the browser, so I'm just going to take a quick second and see if I can find out what's going on with those synthetic rights, because I thought once you researched that, you could grant them freedom. So, something in Paradox Forums. So, Vorian 26. I've spent years populating my colonies with synthetics only to notice that I can't set their rights for some reason. It's just grayed out. Even if I change the default rights, theirs won't change. Is there something that I have to research, or is this a bug, or is it working as intended? Do you have the correct ethics for it? I have egalitarian and materialist. Don't think any of those block it. What about ethics? Do you have any events that could change it? Oh, you know what? I know what I did wrong. Send the reptilians into outer space? I'm doing that, actually. One of these, I'm going to build a colony ship. I think I know exactly what I did wrong. So, said slavery was prohibited. Here we go. So we've got servitude. We will grant citizens' rights. Any self-aware machine that fulfills criteria possessing true artificial intelligence is to be regarded as an individual with all the rights and obligations that entails. Do you wish to change artificial intelligence to citizen rights within our empire? We will not be able to change our stance on this for 10 years. Policy will have these effects. Any self-aware machine that fulfills the criteria possessing true artificial intelligence will be regarded as an individual with all the rights and obligations that entails. Synthetics cannot be enslaved or disassembled. I didn't want to do that anyway, so I'm very happy to oblige. I could technically go for a more savage bombardment policy, but I don't see any reason to do that. I think we will just sit by with that. And species, synthetics. So I don't think I individually set these rights, but that should emancipate the droids. A new faction has recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Mishar Cooperative, led by Governor Marg Vargas. They call themselves the Alien Rights Committee. Their members have been pushing hard for friendly relations with alien species. Alright, so first order of business. We do have synthetics, and it turns out that the maintenance is 0.6, so we aren't paying any more, but they are better at getting stuff than us. Alright, I think I said I was giving up Oreb, but I'm not going to do that until the planet's actually colonized. Freedom Fleet's on its way. Oh, and you know what? I'm not building anything, so how many did I say I owed myself? 10 Corvettes? So that'll bring me up to 490, so that's 30 left, 15 each, so that sounds like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7... 15 corvettes.
System survey complete.
Okay, so the Internal Strength Council is currently a little peeved at me. Stalwart Defense disallowing unwilling resistance, restricted movement. Yeah, I'm not crazy about this faction at all, but they're relatively weak, so I don't need to worry so much about that. Association of Scientific Scholars. They want more science. But I'm not going to give it to them. Alien rights. Yeah, these are all things that I don't like, so. Super rich? So yeah, in energy credits, I mean, if you think about it, my max is 17,000K, so I'm not in bad shape at all, but that's still about half my... That's still like half my potential money. Alright, let's see the maneuvers. Go forth and research the project, my friends. By chance, we stumbled upon a faint alien signal during the survey of this moon. The source appears to be a small object. In orbit, the signal contains no message. Could it be a distress transponder? Okay, construction ship. I'm going to go send that to do all the possible construction. I'm just going to queue a bunch of stuff for this because, again, I like focusing on the pretty stuff in the game. So we'll build some mining stations. Ooh. Alright, that'll do it. Can you show your Civ? Just join the channel. Sure. Yeah, no worries. Happy birthday to you. So, government-wise, we are egalitarian materialists, fanatic materialists. We are now the post-Mishar, so we took the tradition which would give us the cybernetic implants. The civics that we went for originally were mechanist, so we got the robots as one of our first techs, and mining guilds. We've since also expanded out to environmentalist to reduce our consumer goods costs. Demographics-wise, we now have multiple civs, so the synthetics make up, I think, something... We used to have numbers on this. Okay, 34% synthetics, which we just got. Post-Mishar are still the largest component of 43%, and then we just incorporated another civ, so up here, of the Inari. So we actually have a few different ones in now. So this was one that we conquered. We've been upgrading to synthetic. The snakeoids were part of the they're part of a planet that I colonized. Post-Mishar are basically the natural extension of the race that we already had. And then there's some droid holdouts because, hey, why not? I'm actually kind of curious what planet they're on. All right, Freedom Fleet's on its way to do its maneuvers.
System survey complete.
Apparently they're just going to sit there. That's slightly less exciting than I thought it would do. I needed 15 more Corvettes, so 14.
Tile blocker clear.
I do eventually need to start building some. I need to start building some. I need to start building some spaceports for these new colonies as well. But again, we're spreading a little thin in terms of our resources. So yeah, not a problem, Magman 791. The mummified remains of a single individual belonging to a previously unknown mammalian species has been found drifting in high orbit over Hark 7A. The being is dressed in what appears to be a flight suit complete with a helmet. and maybe a fighter pilot that ejected in some ancient battle only to be forgotten and left behind. Our study of the corpse has provided some interesting data. At some point I will also uplift the reptilian species, but there's not a great argument to do that right now, so... in terms of research, I kind of want to finish the auto-curating vault before I do anything. Also, Unity, 41 months out from getting prosperity. Once we get prosperity, we're going to be able to get another ascension perk. So, well, there aren't any humans. We've got the post-Mishar, but they're technically not humans. So what was it?
System survey complete.
I remember there was one which was
Anomaly found.
the material composition of HARC 3 does not match projections. We'll continue with that. I remember there was one,
Never want to belong to
E.G. the boss. Thank you very much for that follow. Was it engineered evolution or was it evolutionary mastery? Oh no, synthetic evolution. Although I think we need another ascension perk before I can get that one. But it is time to abandon the flawed organic vessels that imprison our minds. By transferring our neural patterns into synthetic bodies, we will achieve a higher state of being. So that's kind of where we're going. And we just need to decide what set of priorities will take us there. I'll probably go... I don't know if I want to go for the advantage against fallen empires because we're already closing that gap relatively quickly. Our fleet size, our naval capacity is only going to get larger. Thorough scans have revealed the cause of HARC 3's odd metal composition. The planet is the crash site of a dozen massive spaceships, larger than anything we could have ever imagined. Their construction dates back several million years. So really we would only be getting that bonus specifically to take on this empire. And we really just don't have, like, we've got 2 other people that we're going to be going after already. 3 other people if we include these pipsqueaks.
Special project complete.
Okay, looks like that was just to, I don't know, give my fleet a little exercise. Why not?
Research complete.
How many civs in the game? There's been a few of them that have been knocked out, but let's just take a quick look here. I'm going to take care of my tech first. Okay, so we can do synthetic thought patterns, reduction to edict costs and resettlement costs. Not bad. Cheaper war demands is really tempting. With a 25% reduction, though, I'm pretty sure we can't vassalize these troublemakers. Yeah, 149, we're still short. We'll have to do it the old-fashioned way. Honestly, I think I'm just going to do chemical bliss because it's going to take me like a heartbeat. This is more kind of a throwaway one. I'm not really going to use it. All right, so I think you're going and dealing with your celebration. But we've got what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I guess we must have started with like 11 or 12 then. All right. Let's get some dragon people to go colonize a planet they'll like. Ideally, I'll go for the larger of the 2, so 17. And it's a desert world, so they'll like that. And I think, and I'm over my limit. So I'm going to do something a little... I'm going to do something uncharacteristic for me. I think I'm going to give Oreb over, which was the plan, but I think I'm automatically going to hand over Magum as well. That takes care of my... that sort of takes care of my my capping problems. I think I'll just think a little bit about what my next couple of moves are going to be. So I don't have a lot of colonizable areas around here. I think what I'll wind up doing, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I've got 10 different systems that I can colonize within my own borders.
System survey complete.
I think what I'm going to start doing is I'm going to keep these green ones for myself. Oh my god. I had no idea that I had open borders with these guys. They are screwed because I get to see exactly what their defenses are like. So yeah, this planet's going to be a pushover. This is fantastic because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the opportunity to see every single starport they have. And then I'm going to work out my like grand tour of what to invade and what to save for last. Sorry guys, I don't know if this is a little dry. This is kind of like the second cast I've had where it's a lot of infrastructure building, but I mean, we do have a pretty cool fleet now. And again, this is before I've incorporated any cruisers. I think what I am going to do though is cap it out here, and I'll maybe build like a 1 spaceport 5 so I can see maybe what some of these cruisers do. But I think I need to start thinking a little bit more about... I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to focus a little bit more on sort of some internal upgrades here. I'll neutralize sort of the immediate... So I'll do like the immediate conquests and sort of neutralize the threats that I perceive. Whoa! Stellarite Devourer. What in the name of all that is holy is that? I have never seen one of these things. Look at that. Sorry. Yeah, so I mean, I very clearly am I'm the hyperpower in this particular map. So what I think I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do my grand tour of the United Jessenac systems. I'm gonna just get an idea in terms of where I want to sort of attack with my fleets. Now, it is worth mentioning that the Oxbraxi are going to join the fight. In the best case, they are going to join the fight in this area, and my own lands will sort of be safe. But I shouldn't count on it. I think we'll do the autocannon because again, that's just a 20-month. I should probably maintain some of these colonies. First thing I'm going to do, because I don't know how long I'm going to be continuing on with this, I'm going to just treat all of these as if I'm going to keep them forever. Which will probably prove to be a bit expensive, but we'll see how this all goes.
System survey complete.
So again, what I'm doing here is I'm just kind of respecting the base tile. The one drawback on this approach is that I am going to be a little overbuilt on physics research. So if you notice, actually physics seems to be okay. Engineering is the one that's kind of weak for me right now, but what I tend to do is I tend to go for what the game gives me, and once I've exhausted those options, then I sort of build around it. So if I have some open if I have some, let's say, some open territories, oh, you know what? I should make sure that my planets don't have any unrest.
System survey.
All right, we hit our cap with influence. So I either need to... So I'm just going to take a quick peek at my leaders. I do have room for one more. I should probably recruit a general for that. Oh, and I've got a free governor. So let's just go to output. So I'm going to leave a spot open for leaders. The next step then should be to find a likely planet for a boost. And I'm thinking we do production targets to get bonus minerals. So I'm not really sure about all this. Let's build energy. We don't have an autothon monument, it looks like, so we'll build one of those. Basically, just all the stuff that I own, I'll upgrade. I feel like this planet's going to be generating too much food, though.
Organization in progress.
Really, I should be building synthetics everywhere because they're the best, like objectively. Let me just take a quick look at species again. So it should give me the... Okay, engineering, physics, society, energy, mineral... Okay, so unity is what the Mishar are good at, so I should be focusing on that. Everything else, there's robots.
System survey complete. System survey.
That's probably not the way to play that, by the way.
Incoming transmission.
We would not want to drag your people into a conflict, but it is clear that we would benefit from joining together against possible threats. Beneficial to you, perhaps. Could you send an element from one unit to another to make it strong? So if you're talking about individual... If you're talking about individual planets, you can move populations in between planets, but you need to have certain laws. So depending on your government type, you may or may not be allowed to just forcibly move people. What you can do in terms of fleets, you definitely can. So I'm building one big super fleet just because the way the game is built right now, that's the biggest advantage. But if you how do I put this? Like, so here's a good example. I've probably screwed this up with my... Oh no, my research ship's still doing its thing. So one thing that I can do here is I can say, all right, so it looks like there's maybe 3 or 4 planets where this species is going to maybe build some fleets. And I want to make sure that I have fleets kind of bombarding all of them. I could do that. But yeah, the way the game works right now is it's advantageous to just have one big super fleet. All right, so I think I'm going to go for gene tailoring here. Making gene editing tools widely available is sure to have a positive impact on your development as a species. So you can do genetic modification, and you can do environmental adaptation. Which reminds me, by the way, I haven't been terraforming any of my planets. I should probably get onto that. This will give me a bonus trait, and I think this will probably allow me to alter some of the other species in my empire. So will be, that's a fairly sensible one. As part of our observation efforts on Clat, abduction teams have surgically installed brain implants on a number of Arassian test subjects to track them and monitor their behavior. Unfortunately, due to a manufacturing flaw, many of these implants have malfunctioned and are now having an adverse effect on the behavior of the subjects. There have been a number of suicides and at least 3 episodes of violent hysteria. The staff on our observation post have asked for help in rounding up any of the remaining subjects and removing their implants before we have any more incidents. We need to clean up this mess. Alright. So I need a science ship. I think let's get this guy on the job. So I'm going to get the acuity to work on this first, and then I saw a research project somewhere. Yeah, not a problem at all, Avia. And again, the same goes for everybody. So, I mean, I'm in a weird position where I know this game... I don't know this game as well as I know some of the other Paradox games. Like, I feel very confident in Crusader Kings 2. And I feel pretty confident in Europa Universalis now. But Stellaris, I definitely feel like there's a lot for me to learn that I haven't done yet. And actually, Jess, I think that's not a bad idea for me as well, too.
Construction complete.
I'll give it a few more minutes, but I think I'm probably gonna do that myself. Yeah, I gotta decide what I'm gonna do with my fleet first. But yeah, so but I usually, the thing that I find works best is, like, nobody watches me so they can learn, you know, every last secret of Stellaris. You just go to the wiki for that. But if you, especially if you're new to the game and you want to sort of understand the reasons for me doing certain actions, that's definitely something that I can help out with. And it's something I really enjoy doing. So if you do have questions, I'm happy to answer them to the best of my ability. But if you just enjoy watching, I'm pleased to do that as well. All right, so I'm slightly heavy on Corvettes, but that's not bad because I think most people tend to consider Corvettes slightly better to destroyers. I've got 23 points, so slowly whittling it down. Let's make that, so we'll divide by 2, 12 for the sake of argument, which I think will slightly favor the destroyers. So we'll do 6 destroyers. I owe you 3 destroyers. So that'll bring me up to, so we'll have 512, 518, and 11 Corvettes.
Anomaly found.
While scanning the asteroid belt, our science team found some sort of irregularity. See, the big trick for me right now... Okay, important information. So, they've got the first murder, which is 3,458.97. I know they also had just outside a fleet of about 7,000. So I should assume that they've got about 10,000 in terms of their strength. So if we were to take their capital, that would be a really big and bloody fight, but that would be over relatively quickly. I'm really interested in how this spaceport got 1.9k. I mean, again, we massively overpower it, but... So I'm actually thinking that it might be an idea to just go hard and fast straight to the capital. Just have it out in this really terrible first fight. We'd basically be going against... Round up because it's going to be a battle. We'd be going up against 6k. Which obviously is well within our means. While we're at it, what do the armies look like? Yeah, so our... It's not a synthetic army, unfortunately, but we can definitely do some damage with it. Land, you fool! I think my big question right now is whether or not I want to start that war now, or to make that the big start for the next cast.
Incoming transmission.
Nope. Oh crap, please tell me I'm working on this. Okay, yeah, we've got time.
Survey complete.
Yeah, it is a little bit like that, Avia. By what has to be beyond astronomical odds, the YDS Canabax has actually managed to pinpoint the source of the odd signal as it's soared past through the asteroid belt. A tiny alien construct. A simple scan reveals that it is some sort of ritualistic container holding the remains of an alien spacefarer. We can let the coffin continue its voyage for 250 society, or open the coffin and study the corpse. Well, I mean, this gives me more in absolute terms, and we're fanatic materialists, so that's obviously a very in-character choice. I hate to be a tease to you guys, but I actually think it's a little smarter for me to start the war next cast. It's about 12:30 for me, so it's definitely a good time. Like I kind of want to be up for work in the morning at a decent hour. Let's just take a quick look where we're at. So 18 months away from getting a new tradition. I'm thinking probably the next thing we'll do is supremacy. Domination might make sense because I want to do I want to vassalize people eventually. But the fact of the matter is I'm not going to be doing that for a while. I owe you one destroyer.
Colony established. System survey.
Holy crap, I really need to get on these spaceports. All right, 11 corvettes, 10 corvettes.
System survey complete.
Sorry, I'm just trying to think what I was going to say. Yeah, so I mean, obviously, I'm starting to fade out a little bit in terms of my my attention span as well. Boop, autocannon. So some of this stuff I'm just researching so I can clear out the queue and get something else. And this is another good example. So I don't think armored torpedoes is the best thing I can get, but that's only going to take me 27 months. My other alternative here is Durasteel materials, which really is helpful to me, and that'll take me 42 months. But in this case, I want to just lift myself up to sort of this this floor that I have in mind, and it does give me some time to waste on Corvettes. So I owe you 7 Corvettes. But let's I'll do a slight change. So a large impact crater has been discovered that does not seem to be a natural occurrence. Research. So here's the plan. We talked about this a little bit at the beginning of the cast, and we're still kind of on track to do it, except that I spent a lot of time building up my fleet. So here's what our immediate military plans are. Oh, and you know what? I blew it a bit because I didn't keep my eye on the ball with these. There's some unidentified empire, which I don't get. So we're basically looking about 2k every time we go to pick a fight. I'm going to take a quick peek as this thing goes through here, but I'm thinking probably what we'll do is we'll go straight for the capital at the start, which is going to be the biggest and most damaging fight for us, but it's also going to be the one that that's going to be one that's a really heavy hit to them right off the bat. And that's also going to leave us like right in the middle of their territory, so we can maybe start doing some fast hits on some of their other spaceports. And the big one on this is that we're going to try and just blitz down as many of the planets as we can early on, so we don't have to worry about their allies. But we'll see how well that works. Again, I kind of want to see what their spaceports look like across. If I can sort of chop, so these will not be that difficult to invade, but if I can sort of chop this part off before they can really respond, I'll be in really good shape. We've detected the presence of an alien civilization on Milsuska in the Bovatir system. They appear to be in an early space age, as evidenced by the many primitive satellites orbiting their homeworld. Their nation-states are on the path towards joining together in a global government, and it is likely only a matter of time before they venture beyond their world and join the galactic community. We should consider building an observation post above their world to study them more closely. Where's that? It's in their territory. No thanks. A new metal. Detailed surface scans on Dimmus 6A have identified a large impact crater containing the wreckage of several ancient starships of unknown design. The ships appear to be completely devoid of life support systems, leading us to suspect that they were either unusually large drones or controlled by some form of artificial intelligence. Interestingly, the hull of the ships was constructed out of a living metal, an exceedingly rare inorganic metal with many unique properties. This metal can be programmed to assume a certain shape or form, and it will slowly regrow itself if damaged. Over a period of several millennia, the surviving metal from the wrecked ships was fused into a large and extremely dense deposit that could potentially be mined for centuries to come. And that is... oh, that'll be within colonization space for us.
System survey.
Cool. How many Corvettes? 7? I owe you 3 Corvettes. Take time for the torpedoes. Could you wait to negotiate diplomacy or just manage... So, to be honest with you, Avia, I'm probably not going to use the torpedoes in my ships, so you can go to the ship designer. Oop, somebody wants to trade. Alright, so the Hulfir want to give me 2,252 energy credits, 117,000 minerals, and they will give me a research agreement. No. Better still. No, you don't want to be vassalized. Do you want to be vassalized? No, you don't want to be vassalized. Do you want to be vassalized? No, you don't want to be vassalized. Do you want to be vassalized? No, you don't want to be vassalized. Do you want to be vassalized? Nah, no vassal. Hang on. Do I have a non-aggression? No, okay. Yeah, oddly enough, nobody wants to be vassalized. But yeah, so basically what's gonna happen here, Avia, so let's take a look at my Corvette as an example. It turns out here that they're using proton torpedoes. So in this particular case, this may be an example of a ship that does use the new torpedo technology. My destroyer kind of has this collection of lasers and ion cannons. My cruiser's going to be a laser boat. My battleship also seems to be a laser boat. So I honestly wouldn't have expected that. I actually would have thought it'd be the other way around, but it seems that... Where the hell is that science ship? So yeah, it could actually turn out to be that I researched the technology in time to use it. In honesty, though, I kind of got it because it was one of the less expensive ones, and I know that I've got. I definitely know that I have the means of taking them out. I'm one of the strongest species in the game, so if I wanted, I could just kind of roll over them right now. But I'm being somewhat prudent and just taking a quick look at what their fleet composition looks like. Again, there's probably a 7K fleet flying around somewhere. It also wouldn't hurt, I think, if I were to stop here. Alright, that is technically my IOUs done, but I know that's not gonna cover the full range. I think if I stopped here, I'd be able to take a look at these other systems before I go in. But yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about the immediate plans. So first priority, of course, is victory. So we've got 38 out of the 85 planets that I need. So we're a little under halfway. Now, in terms of what we have access to, we can easily add to that. So in terms of systems, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 7 within my immediate borders. 8. Sorry, actually that should be 8. 8 systems. I don't know, some of these might double up on planets. I might also be able to get synthetics to go onto the tomb worlds. These guys are going to be pushovers, so we can add basically 4 more systems, 5 once I add that. And then whatever I take from these guys, obviously. So we can get quite close to the victory condition. The thing is, I kind of also want to experience all the other stuff that the game has to offer, so I don't know if I really want to just sort of steamroller over everything. But I think, so now I'm going to pause just because I've kind of got what I need, but here are the immediate plans. So while I'm continuing to sort of colonize and build up my infrastructure, I have a very specific plan in mind for how I am going to sort of assert my dominance over the next little bit of the galaxy. So problem number 1 that we have is that these guys have done a defensive pact with my we're not even defensive pact, but basically these the Jessenaks have guaranteed the independence of these guys. So basically they're sort of they're committing to fight if I attack them. Now that's fine because I feel completely safe fighting them. But I also sort of want to tilt this to my favor. So like in the end, it'd be sort of nice if I could kind of own the top left-hand side of the map. So the plan is this. Right now I'm getting some intelligence. We've got open borders. So I'm going to get an idea of what their defenses look like. And then I'm going to take my fleet and I'm just going to go crashing into their capital and taking as much as I can. And the main purpose of this is, one, I want to take a bunch of planets from them. But the other thing is I'd ideally just decimate their fleets doing this without a major cost to my own. Now what's going to happen is they'll get involved and the Oxbraxi will get involved. And as long as their combined power isn't enough to topple me, I'll be good. The next step, once I do that, is I'm then going to take my fleet and I'm going to go and I'm going to steamroll over the Jazgian Authority. Now one of two things are going to happen. Either the Jessenaks are going to try and defend them, at which point they're already going to be decimated, or because they're decimated, my guys will just simply roll over these guys. The other nice thing, because I plan on taking some pretty heavy concessions from the United Jessenak systems, my expectation would be that once I take the planets, so just to give you an idea of what I would ask for, let's say seed... So, Nimolan, Runa, Bovatir, Yurgel, Jess in Axpa, and Tarok. So that would take me up to 96. I think if I invited attackers... Oh, so interestingly enough, it looks like a couple of people would get involved with that. But I would have to give up something. But yeah, so the idea here is I would try and basically take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd try and take 6 planets off of that. And so the direct consequence of this would be, if I win that, I'd basically be taking half of their planets. Now I would be signing a peace agreement, which would mean that for a few years, I'd take a few years to get the sort of the ceasefire digested. But in the meantime, I would be able to sort of take these guys on. I'd be able to gobble them up. And then I would be able to decide, well, do I want to maybe take on the Oxbraxi, or do I want to just vassalize the rest of the Jessenaks? And then, of course, once I do that to the Jessenaks, the Oxbraxi, who are kind of my bigger rival at the moment, I would be able to gobble them up. And I would also be able to do this to the Juvan hegemony, who is definitely under threat from those other guys. It's very immersive. Why not take it step by step? It is definitely very immersive. I mean, I also kind of like role playing a bit. But yeah, at this point, I'm trying to push the advantage that I have of both my technology and my fleet. And the one thing I'm really hoping for is if I can sort of break the back of this little cluster here. I mean, obviously these guys are sort of a power in their own right, but potentially I could, I might be able to bridge the gap between myself and this stagnant ascendancy. Because again, I'm leaving a lot of my fleet power on the table. But in reality, what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to chop Jessenaks in half. I'm going to swallow green. And then in the interim, probably what will happen, I'll be able to get this done before the ceasefire is finished. So I think what I'll try and do is maybe pop one of the Leviathans, and the automated dreadnought sort of seems to be the best option because one, it's close, and then two, it I already know that I could take it on when I had a weaker system or a weaker fleet. Abduction teams from our observation post above Klat have worked in concert with the crew of the ISS Acuity to quickly gather the Arashan test subjects with faulty brain implants. The observation post surgical staff replaced the implants with functional versions, and the subjects have been returned to the planet's surface. As an added bonus, Science Officer Gaston Fortin managed to extract a wealth of data from the removed implants, despite their defects. At least something good came of this. The other thing I need to decide is whether or not I want to make some more armies. There's definitely a good argument for me to do that. But in the interim, whatever I spend the points on now is something that I can't spend it's something that I'm gonna give up later. The unstable tectonic plates of Magum Prime have just violently shifted once again. Reports on the damage on the colony are just starting to arrive. Alright, well, we'll have to live with that. In the meantime, let's build some spaceports, because I have a feeling there's going to be some invasion fleets that make life difficult for these.
Complete.
Of course, it won't come as a surprise. Oop. The recent earthquake, which rocked the colony on Magrum Prime, caused no damage, and serendipitously has uncovered a batch of useful minerals. Good news for me. And we are now at max energy credits, which means I should probably dump that money into something useful. I think we'll get some secrets on how to beat the Dreadnought. But that will be for another game. So thank you everybody for watching. This is again a little bit more of a management round, but that's not the worst thing in the world, because there is a big management component to Stellaris. I've actually found that I'm not very good at the combat, and I tend to avoid it. Again, if you guys are new to the game, the original intention was to get people into the game after the Humble Monthly was released. Clearly, it's been about a month since that's happened. There's going to be another Paradox game that's in... actually, it's probably been about 2 months now that I think of it. Another Paradox game in the current Humble Monthly, which is Pillars of Eternity alongside a basketball game. When I say it's a Paradox game, that's a Paradox published game. Obsidian Entertainment were the people who designed it. But yeah, it seems, I suppose if they're putting it in the monthly again, it's working well enough for them. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I like games like this, and I think they really outdid themselves with Stellaris. I think it's one of the first times that they've taken a non-historical theme, and they did a really wonderful job of making a game that I think captures a lot of the feeling of science fiction, of reading science fiction, and all of the things that people really enjoy about that genre. So as is always the case, we definitely had some new faces here, so thank you very much for the follows and the attention. We will do a Paradox game every Monday, basically for the foreseeable future. I really like these. Some of the games are well covered on Twitch, but I do tend to notice that people tend to appreciate my style of casting in terms of being able to, let's say, give voice to my thought process. So if you're into that sort of thing, we will always be here on Mondays. My other casting days are Wednesdays and Fridays usually. Sometimes I try and get an off cast in. Sometimes I miss another one, but usually it's Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. If it comes down to it, I always reserve the right to do another Stellaris one. However, when we get into when we get into something like this where we're going to have a big event, normally I like to save it for the Monday, Monday that's following, just because if people want to see what the big space fights look like, I don't want to, pull the rug out from under people. If you want to know how we got to the spot where we are, we did get a lucky start with some fairly peaceful neighbors, but I do always upload things onto YouTube. I do need to wait 24 hours before I send any of my content away from Twitch. But if you do want to watch the Stellaris playthrough and basically see me go throughout the experience, pretty much this entire playthrough will be available on some form of VOD. And then as far as the rest of this week is concerned, I likely will do at least one more episode of The Walking Dead. I don't know what else we'll do. There are definitely some series that I want to finish off if I can. But in the meantime, I'm going to say very good night. Thank you everybody for hanging out. No problem, Avia. And as always, Elsie, it's a lot of fun to have you in cast. And let me see if I can find somebody to host. I know normally on Mondays it feels like I am always hosting Kilgore Trout, but let's see what else we can find. You know what? I think I will host W. Shan tonight. It's been a while since I've seen him, and he's doing games and demos, so I don't know what he's playing right now. Oh, Elsie, it's not a problem at all. So as I always like to say, I mean, a concurrent viewer is a concurrent viewer, right? But I don't think of you guys as numbers. I like it when you guys say hi, because that reminds me that you're there. But I've never felt like I need to take attendance or something like that. If you guys aren't active in chat, that's fine, because it's my job to bring the fun. Before I host Shand, I almost forgot, a lot of people auto-host this stream, and I don't get direct notifications for it anymore. Now, Twitch usually switches this around on me, so hopefully I get this done in time, but we've got Blaster1, The Rambler 146, Flow Fantasy, Jesse Quill, Docs Gaming, Dynamite TV, Optimistic Gamer, Maka Angzir, Pithrem, Unknown Brigade, Inferno Fowler, Ulster Fighter, Elkanu, Nubasaur, and Lady Dow, all hosting us tonight. Thank you all for the support. Thank you guys who, again, come in here regularly, even if you don't have a stream and you don't host. I always appreciate the bodies inside of chat. And for those of you who have been recommending the stream to people, that means a lot to me. Because like I said, the best thing that a caster can ask for is a chance to entertain someone. I'm never going to convert everyone. I know I've got kind of a very narrow appeal. But if we can find more people who like that, I'm always very happy to provide it. And it means a lot whenever somebody does give that recommendation. Anyways, as is our way, if you guys would like to come with me on a raid to W. Shand, we usually say we're tied to System Talk, heard this place is better. I knew W. Shand back in Vancouver. I now live on the other side of the country, so I don't get to see him as often. But he's a good guy, very entertaining. He's probably playing an indie game right now, which is why he's in games and demos. But again, check him out, see what you can do. If you're looking for some other casters who are quite good, Kilgore Trout is playing Oblivion on the GOG.com channel. GOG.com is the name. And Melee Mage is playing Moon Hunters. So anyways, guys, have a great night, and I'll see you in W. Shan's place.